live. Thanks. Very kind of you to go live. It's almost 2:00, but we're here. We're here. We are live on the Tuesday. I have two screens, so I don't know what I'm doing now. Hang on a minute. I'm just gonna move this one around over here. Everything's gone missing. I have to bring that one smaller. That's better. And then I can make that one so I can see the chat window. I have two screens, so I'm a bit lost at the moment. Hold on. Talk amongst yourselves. I'll be there in a second. And I was listening to Michael Kunuka as well. That doesn't help. Shout out to Fontaines DC, who has some good tunes out. A Dublin band as well. Really good. Good God, there's loads of you here already. We're okay. We're off. It's very good. It'll all catch up with me in a minute, I'm sure. Welcome to the Sunday service. It is 2 p.m. on this lovely Sunday. If you're visiting from TikTok, thank you very much, or visiting from Instagram, which is also there as well, you can. Our little party has become quite live these days. We're pretty big at this stage. We got a few followers already. Our TikTok has gone to 55,900, so just 56,000, and we're just 57,000 here on YouTube as well. So it's going to be quite a big channel. I was out running today, so my face looks I'm still burning. I was literally just out doing a proper run today. I did a long run, and now I feel great, but my skin falls asunder when I go out and do a big run like that. It doesn't help. Mike Walsh was here at 20 to 12 this morning. Says, Bob, do you know of any good car clubs in Cork? I don't, actually. I'm really bad at the old car club stuff. I only ever find out about car meets and stuff after I see it on Facebook. When it's already happened. It's like, look, what was at our car meet today, and then they put up the pictures. So I feel we're heading towards lockdown level 5. I feel it. I think we all feel at this stage that there's a sort of an element of there's resisting from the government, but really that all the advice right now is coming to be like we have to lock down level 5, right? Anthony Morrissey, thank you very much. Done a super chat already. Straight off the mark, boy. I like it. So I do feel that level 5 is coming at us, and I don't think we're going to have much of a choice in that. So what we're going to have to do is delay any sort of meetups until after level 5 ends. So if things go according to plan and we go into level 5, say next week, right, and we maintain that level 5 for a month or so, it'll be mid-November when it's over. When it's over, we'll try and have a meetup somewhere in December before Christmas. So we'll have a little Christmas meetup and try and do that. That's open to everybody, and we'll open it up for everybody in Ireland to do it and try and find somewhere that's big enough to cope with it, and we'll try and keep the numbers under control, and we'll try and do social distancing as a big meet if it's allowed. We'll try to do something. I hope to God it is. But yeah, Derek Norris is here. Good man. Anthony Morrissey's here as well. Hi Bob, what's your thoughts on 8 Class Saloon versus 2 Series Grand Coupe? 8 Class Saloon 2 Series Grand Coupe. 2 Series Grand Coupe is a car that is a very odd car. I can't work out exactly what it is BMW were going for on that one, because it's a compact saloon, but it's very difficult to drive and it doesn't involve, it's not BMW, it doesn't feel BMW at all. I'd go 8 Class Saloon is one of my favourite cars. Look at the CLA as well, that's worth a look. Both of them are quite good. Mercedes is really hitting a mark now, really getting into a stride now with all the launches. I'm currently driving the E-Class, the 300, it's a PHEV version of a 2-litre diesel PHEV, and it's superb. 1,000-kilometre tank, like forget about it. You can go wherever you want to go on a diesel and be a full electric when you want it to be as well. Really clever car. Will McGrath says, hi Bob, responded to my last question last week. Did I? I don't remember yesterday, to be honest with you. It's all about family car, big boot requirement. Points towards Tesla Model S, I-Pace, e-tron, all stupid money. They are all stupid money. Being honest with you, the budget's after putting a torpedo in a lot of the electric car stuff. Like the top end of, I was talking to Cross, which he might be here somewhere in the thing. I was actually physically met Cross yesterday. Anyway, he pointed out that the top end of the Volkswagen ID3 has now, because of the budget, become €1,000 more expensive. Like, how do you do that? How do you make a car that's already expensive more expensive by doing a budget for cars that are meant to be cleaner? It doesn't make any sense. So I'm not sure what's going to happen with Model S and I-Pace and e-tron, which are already fairly high up the food chain of things. Considering that Elon Musk said he was going to start making electric cars cheaper next year. So I keep thinking to myself, should we all hold on a minute until we settle down in the prices a bit? It seems to be a bit crazy on prices. There always seems to be a problem there. out of the ones you're looking at, the I-Pace drives the most like a car, but it is probably the least practical. The e-tron is the most practical because it's a big SUV and you can put anything you want essentially in it. But the range isn't exactly fantastic on them. They're good, but not fantastic. And the Model S is the best one for the long range driving. And if you just want to get recognised wherever you go, like just turn up in a Tesla. As I say, I was meeting Cross 13 yesterday, and he brought down his Model 3, which is a long range one, grand car. But immediately we're looking at all these other stuff we're going to do together, and here's two young lads across the road, two kids standing there going, it's the Tesla. So if you want that Tesla experience, you need to buy the Tesla to get it going. Annie McPhee is here as well. Eric Rochford's here as well. All the early birds, how's doing? Yes, tis. That was all early today. It was really good. Annie McPhee, Michael Callanan, how are you going? He's a big fan, starting college after Halloween. Loves Dublin, lives in Dublin, but loves cars. You're in the wrong county to love cars. If you're in Dublin, you have to love public transport, and that's all you're supposed to be doing. Public transport. You're not supposed to own a car in Dublin. It's funny, isn't it? You're not allowed to do these things, which is really good. Good view is coming in actually. I now have two screens. Like I can look from here all the way over to there. Like it's a really long thing. You can find me on Twitch as well. I've been streaming video games on Twitch with a few. I've made new friends on Twitch. If you want to come over there, you can watch some video games. We do talk cars and stuff as well. We've been playing Warzone. So it's just Bob Flavin on Twitch as it is here. I'm also on Instagram and of course TikTok if you want to go over there too. Wherever you want. I am omnipresent as you please. Worth to mention as well, if you're looking, and I know a lot of people are messing around with Bitcoin. I do have a little bit of Bitcoin. I don't do a whole lot, but there's an offer going on in Coinbase where I keep the money, which is an EU one. It's in Luxembourg, I think. But anyway, Coinbase doing an offer at the moment. If you're opening a Bitcoin account, you get a free tenner. If you open it using the link down below, I get a tenner as well. It costs you nothing. Zip. If you're going to open it anyway, we might as well all make money off it. So go to Coinbase to get a free tenner. That's handy. So link down there at the bottom if you want to get involved in that, which is pretty good. Michael says, do Dublin bus use diesel engines? They do, yes they do. Bob's going to move to a 6-hour long Sunday service soon enough. Yeah, I will. I had to start earlier and finish later. It's only supposed to be 2 hours. It hasn't been 2 hours since the early days. The early days when it was only 5 of us here at any one time. Then it just grew. Like last week was 5,500 or something. So it's mental. Like it's a little bit mental after a bit. But yes, Dublin bus do use diesel engines. I know because I rode on a scooter on the Long Mile Road the other day, and a bus overtook me and then pulled in front of me and then sat there with the engine running. And the stink off it, like it was smelly. Sorry, my phone. I forgot to put my phone on silent. Should be putting on do not disturb, but just in case something happens, you have to keep an eye on stuff. The kids are out playing and all that sort of thing. I'm opening the email. I'm sure we're all okay. Where are we now? There's another follower on Twitch. Thank you very much. Michael says big fan. Thanks very much. We're all big fans. We're big fans of the Sunday service itself. It's become this little thing that's happening in the background. If you follow me on Instagram, you would have seen a little run I was doing this morning where they've put in a new charge point in Portlaoise that you can use your credit card on. Now it's not pay as you go. It's not that same thing as just kind of tap your card and head on. You still have to open an account, but it's a lot simpler than trying to find apps and open an app and then sign into the app and then give all your credit card details to the app and then use the app to open the thing. You just use your credit card to do it. It's pretty clever, but it was right beside a person who stepped out homeless all night in Portlaoise as well, right beside this brand new technology. They could be building houses first, wouldn't you? William Bellingham, good afternoon. No, wait, I missed one. Frava Night Disciple, I missed one. Good afternoon, everybody. Predictable motor budget, no imagination, just copy and paste all previous. Exactly. That's essentially what's been done. Is just meddling. It wasn't a solution then. There was no solution in the budget. There was nothing. Just meddled in the thing. So any car that's now from 2008 to now will probably go up in tax, probably, but it depends on its CO2 emissions, and it's just fucking stupid. Anyway, it's just the same sort of pain that they give me every year. There's no solution. There's no end point to what they're doing. They've made some electric cars more expensive and some will be slightly cheaper, but it just depends which one you're looking at. And then there's the imports. The NOx tax thing seems to be really punishing anyone who can't find a good deal in Ireland for the car that they want. So if they want to import, they can, but they have to pay a fortune in NOx tax, which I don't think that's going to protect dealerships. I really don't see a good future for sales in a dealership if we keep going the way we're going right now, the kind of protectionist idea. It doesn't really work. It hasn't worked in any other EU country, so I can't imagine it's going to continue working here. William Bellingham says, good afternoon, hope you're doing well, back to work Monday morning. Don't be thinking about tomorrow, William. Tomorrow's another day. Today is today. Live today as if today is the only day you've got left. That sounds interesting and deep for this hour today. There is another way you can support the channel as well, and again in the link down below is Noah, if you want to look after Noah there, which is news over audio. You too can have the news read out to you. Normally it costs 120 quid a year. You can get it for 60, half price, using the link down below, and I get a donation out of Noah from that as well, so it costs you nothing. It's brilliant. Literally just paid Noah 60 quid for a whole year of being read out. And I was using this morning on my run as well. Actually, I was listening to a deadly story and I didn't get it finished, so I have to listen to it after this. I didn't get the story finished. Really lovely lady's voice reading it out in my ear while I was running along. Going to ask a question about the buses. I said, Michael Robin Hall, hi Bob and everyone. Views on a new Octavia hybrid, thanks. The problem I have with hybrids is that they put a petrol engine usually with the hybrid, and there's a diesel engine in the hybrid I have outside the door, the Mercedes right now, which is great. That's brilliant. That's 1,000 kilometers and it's low CO2 because it's EU6 regulated. Petrols are higher CO2, and they keep putting hybrids in with them, which makes the car heavier. So those batteries are about 70 kg, between 70 and 100, which is actually punishing the petrol engine for the sake of a hybrid, if you follow what I mean. Instead of kind of going a proper hybrid, like a little light petrol engine, like the way Toyota do it, a smaller battery to give you a little boost here and there to lower your CO2, which is what we should be kind of doing, instead of trying to get this plug-in hybrid thing running. We need to kind of clear up which one is good, which one is bad, because full electric doesn't quite suit everybody. It's possible, but they're still too expensive. If you go for PHEV, like my favourite one so far has been the Passat PHEV, so I imagine the Opel Octavia is going to be very similar, or the Skoda Octavia is going to be very similar. And I've also liked the Grandland X, which is a really good PHEV. You just didn't notice it was really good. I just enjoyed those two. But I have driven the Octavia. I drove that last week, but it was diesel one. It was lovely, superb, which I shouldn't say because there's another car called Superb, but superb car, really, really good. Whoa, we hop a lot of questions there all of a sudden. Where was I? I was about there. Somewhere about buses, wasn't it? Yeah. Mark O'Reilly's here. Andy FX7 is here, but retracted his message. He must have said something really dirty. That's always good, isn't it? I always wonder when someone retracts the message, what did they say? My God, what happened there? What came out of their keyboard that they didn't think about? Because like typing is weird, you know. You get time to think when you type. When you speak like I'm doing right now, there's no time to think. You just got to keep talking. Hope that you get to the other end of it, that people ask enough questions so the 2 hours actually get through. But when you type, you have time to type, you know. You have time to think about the question. I know, spelling mistakes. I'm terrible for just onto the keyboard and then press return and it comes out and it's got full of spelling mistakes and things. I don't even think about it. Anyway, Mark O'Reilly's here as well. Peter Cupid is here. Garrett Talbot, afternoon all. Brennan Duffy, afternoon all. Hope I had a good week. We did. I had a great week. Very long. It seemed very long. I have something to do with the kind of hanging over of level 5 lockdown, I think. I got stopped at a couple of checkpoints. It was funny because I was filming Friday. I was filming the Mazda MX-30, which I can't talk about until tomorrow. I've driven it, video out tomorrow, but the actual press launch is tomorrow. And a lot of the press journalists haven't driven it yet, and I've driven it, so I'm kind of under embargo from it. But I've driven it. But while I was out driving, I was driving from Sandyford down to Bray, and there was a checkpoint. And I got pulled in. See, Mum was flagging me, you go over and talk to the guard. So I pulled into the guard, and I didn't even get the window down because I'm on the left side of the car, the left-hand drive car. So I was literally right beside him, and he goes, "Oh, I like your videos. It's great. Steady, on you go." It's funny it's funny meeting people who actually watch the videos. It's really good. I love meeting them. They're great because I have no idea what the videos are like when I put them out. I just go, okay, that's good enough. Do it. But it was weird having the little checkpoints because I got stopped at a couple of checkpoints because I've been up in Dublin a couple of times. That's work for me, so I got to go and get the cars. So I ended up stopped at a couple of checkpoints. The guard here is so nice. You know, they're not trying to be weird about it. They're just nice. They're trying to explain what lockdown means and why you shouldn't be travelling. Do you have any symptoms or any shit? So it's good. Brendan Duffy, afternoon. Oh yeah, sorry. Mark Aaron Dull, very good afternoon, Bob. Don't forget to hit the like button, people. Hit the like button. Yeah, everybody, hit the like button. Paul O'Connor, hi all. How many likes have we got? I've got 2 windows, but I can only see one half of one of them. Oh wow, there's a few of you here already. That's pretty good, isn't it? That's really good. There's 200 people here already. Paul O'Connor's here. Dave Hall. Hi Bob, how's the crack? It's grand. Irish runners here as well. I was running this morning. Lads, I tell you, it's a good day for running because it's grey and it's not quite cold, it's not quite hot, there's no real wind there. It's quite nice, you know. It's just a lovely day to kind of tick along. Hi Bob, put up 2 posts in the last 10 minutes. They're gone, removed. No, the only one I see, Andy, is a message retracted. I don't see any messages removed. There's none removed by the moderators anyway. Go again. Anthony Morrissey is donated, thank you. Owen Kelly, Fontaine's DC are unreal. Yep, I've been listening for a long time. They've got a YouTube channel and they put up their videos there, but they're just starting to come to fruition. Their latest kind of tracks that have come out, they're very Irish, but they're going down a storm on BBC Six Music and stuff. So it's really, really good. And I listen to a fair bit of BBC Six Music because I'm not keen on the chat show thing in Ireland. There's a lot of. I was listening to one radio show one morning. I got into it because I swap cars all the time. The cars are tuned to different channels, and sometimes they're tuned to nothing, and sometimes it takes ages to hook up your Apple thingamajigs, and you can't get going. So I ended up listening to a forward sell for a changeover. So when it gets to kind of lunchtime, you get this, you get these points where they're forward selling the next show, but they're closing the last show, and they're trying to put an ad break and a news bit in the middle. And it was coming to the end of the news, and they were forward selling, so that the presenter came on, and she goes, in today's show, Karen finds out why there's holes in all her jumpers. And this is a national radio station, so sitting there going, moths? Could it be moths, do you think? It was just so inane, and I thought, God, that's just a show for the sake of a show, right? That's not even really radio anymore. It's this incessant need to fill space, to fill time, you know. We used to just develop shows that were pretty good, but I just thought that just summed it up. So I immediately hooked up my Apple CarPlay, put on Spotify, and forgot about it. I thought it was funny anyway. Maybe I'm just after myself. But oh yeah, Paul O'Connor says, don't forget to like, comment and share. Good man. Afternoon all, Peter Dolan. Did I shoot forward there or something? Oh, no, I'm alright. David Russell, hi Bob, bought a 1.6 TDI Seat Leon 2012 as needed something that did high MPG. What's your thoughts on these engines and cars? Pretty good. You won't get as good MPG out of a 1.6 as you on a motorway as you would out of a 2 litre, right? 2 litres they're content at, if you watch a rev counter, just watch the rev counters. So a 6-speed 2 litre diesel does better fuel economy than a 6-speed 1.6 litre TDI at higher speeds. At lower speeds, they're about the same. And in actual fact, if you go into town, the petrol and diesel are basically the same fuel economy. When you're driving through cities, stop-start stuff kills the car anyway. Even it kills electric cars as well, but the benefit for electric cars or PHEVs is when you're slowing down for the next thing, you recoup some of that energy back. So, but you still waste a lot of energy getting off the line. We're in a flux at the moment. We're in a change of fuels at the moment. But that engine's fine. No real problems. It's a 2012, so must be due a timing belt at some point in the near future. I will get that done. And a water pump changed as well. Horror stories this morning I had on my Instagram. Some fella bought a Skoda, an older one, and I won't say where it came from because it could end up as a court case thing, but he bought it and it was out of it was in warranty, but it immediately started leaking all of its fuel or all of its coolant onto the ground first, and then seemed to be leaking it elsewhere, which thought would be a head gasket, but it wasn't. They changed the timing belt, but they didn't fit the water pump properly, so the water was just literally pouring out of it again. So they brought it back into the warranty, fixed it again, but it still didn't fix it, and then it fixed it again, didn't fix it again. So he ended up with this car that he's owned for a year, but he's only driven for like 4 weeks, and now they don't want to fix it anymore from like all of a sudden. So he contacted me, like Joe Duffy, you know, see if I can do something. Anyway, it's a horror story when things don't go well for repairs of cars. Frank Metcalf is here. I haven't seen your name up there in a while now, Frank. Where have you been? Or you just been quietly, you know, hanging around in the background, not saying anything. Brian O'Donnell, hi Bob and gang, good man. Eric Watcher, nice video on the Honda E, interesting car, relatively affordable. Tis, and the gamble there is putting a smaller battery for shorter charge times, because it is some pain in your hole, lads, waiting for a charge at the 50 kilowatt chargers here in Portlaoise when you've got a 64 kilowatt hour battery, or even bigger than that. You know, when you're sitting there 40 minutes, 50 minutes later, it's still not full, and now you're in your overstay time, and it's you know, it's just sitting there going, we should just finish charging. When you have a smaller battery, you can charge it much faster. That's where PHEVs come in. But this what Honda are gambling on is the pure future. You know what I mean? This actually have all the screens, which are a little bit low tech. The screen itself isn't exactly the greatest response time. And I'm not too sure whether, I know you can flick the screens around so you can make things, I'm not too sure whether maybe it's too complicated. But I do like the idea of being able to play a PlayStation or an Xbox or Animal Crossing on your Nintendo or whatever inside the car, making the car a little bit more interactive with the house, particularly when you're charging. You know, when you pull up and charge somewhere and you're sitting there for your 40 minutes waiting for a charge, and in that 40 minutes you can play a little bit of something on a Nintendo or whatever with you, you know. Maybe they should start building in the software into the system. Could be a way forward. But it is affordable though, that's the thing. It is a kind of affordable and super cute. There is only 4 seats in it, but it's super cute car. And little city cars. It's kind of where we need that sort of a car for everything, because currently Tesla's is ruling the game because of the range, but we need to take range out of the anxiety factor of electric cars. Range needs to stop being a conversation piece, because getting into a car in Dublin driving all the way to Sligo is not something most people do, particularly in this lockdown time. Just the mileage on my car is very little. Jim Shed has been very generous. Thank you very much, Jim Shed. You're very kind. Is that Jim's? Have you got a shed called Jim, or just your Jim? Welcome to my shed. Rinky Stinky Bump Boo Poo. Did you really? You must have sat. How are you, Bob? How are you going? You must have sat down and really thought about that username. Was there everybody else's username was used up already? Was it? Liam says hi everyone. Never used a live chat before. Hi Liam. Welcome to the thing. It is live, truly. That's why I just read you out. Dad Senna. Hi Bob. How's it go? How did it go? How'd it go? My run was great. I enjoyed every moment of it. Then I hated it. Then I loved it again. Then I got home, did a little bit of Pilates for me back, because my back does be giving me jip. And when I get a back injury, I can't run, which drives me absolutely insane. Of course, men's health is always on my mind, because this is like a hangout place for men to come and be men. And some women as well. But you know, we can be sort of more manly here. So and it is men's health, and we should look after men's health, and running really looks after my men's health, because I don't have much time to switch off or power down. People say you take break from social media, but most of those people are television presenters and have incomes coming in from residuals. I don't. So I'm all online, baby. Hellhound is here. Hey Bob, all the fellow Flavonites, thank you very much. Joseph Milani. What's the story with road tax this year? Not changing until 2020, Joseph. It may go up, it may go down. Our lovely Minister for Transport didn't exactly make it the clearest option. And then today it's revealed, but I think the Sunday Business Post did a piece on the Minister for Transport being under more pressure because he is looking to import and export gas from this country, which of course we give away all our gas rights and all our fuel rights to Shell and all that down there. We didn't say about that. But now we can import it and send it back out again. Reverse engineer how we're going to make money from this country. It's mad. Paul O'Connor says, if the meetup happens, it'd be nice to meet us. Yeah, well, I've met some of these before, for sure. We were at our first meetup was, I can't remember, 25 or 30 of us or something. It was lovely, and we're all down in Midway, which was before the word social distancing ever existed, or at least were put into any sort of phrase. We never heard of COVID-19. That's what that was about. But I'd love to do that again, and now of course there's a lot more people involved, but we can try and get some sort of a space to have a meet and maybe have something sponsored. It'd be nice. Portlaoise Plaza, you know, you put your hand in your pocket and maybe give us another Supermac. It's been lovely. And Niall McHugh, howdy folks. Honda E video was great. We'll be getting a spin. The Mazda MX-30 did it already on Friday. It's good, and I'll say that straight now. It's very good. Not as techy as the Honda E. There's no reversing mirrors or any of that sort of stuff in it. Mazda are betting the farm on this MX-30, and I don't think it was the right idea. I just don't, because the doors open backwards and all that. So you've seen all the pictures, so I know that. But those doors opening backwards were the one thing that kind of killed off the BMW i3 was the one that didn't make that so popular, because the doors open backwards. But I know what Mazda's after is the RX-7 and the RX-8, which had doors open the back, suicide doors in the backwards, which you're not supposed to call them suicide doors, but it's very good. The car is very good. It drives very well. It's probably one of the better, a bit like the Honda E. It actually drives pretty well. A lot of electric cars don't drive very well. A lot of them are a bit woolly to drive. They understeer a lot. They're great in straight lines, but that's what it is. Seamus Cummins, hi Bob, best option for first car, max 3,500, what year as well? Someone else answered that in the comments, because I'm absolutely rubbish at prices of things. I just rubbish at those prices. I'm really crap. Ocean Froggy, thank you very much for donating as well. Another donation coming in by Super Chat. It's always good to have the donations. But when it comes to 3,500, there's plenty of cars out there now. If you're looking for first car, you think about insurance, so you start thinking about under 1.4 litre petrol, because it's not a lot of money, and you need to have a little bit of money left over for the insurance part. And insurance bit can be very expensive. Get 15 quotes on insurance. That's how we've been saving thousands over on TikTok for young drivers. But yeah, maybe something like a Toyota Corolla, something around there, or you can maybe pick up something like VW Up, one of those kind of cars. You might not get an Up, but you might get something that size of a car. Aaron Ennis is here as well. Hi Aaron. Nigel Dunn, front of a Honda E reminds me of an old Hillman Imp. Yeah, it does actually, just say that. Or an Opel Kadett, another one as well. Do you know the Opel Kadett with the two square headlamps on both ends? Just not round, but square headlamps on both sides. I saw an Opel something or other today. What passing by today? Something heading off there. I was thinking, where's he going now? Where's that meetup happening? I wanted to go. There's Stuart McHugh with his back surgery. Went well and recovery's going very well. I'm up and walking. Good man. Down Dunleary Pier today. Thinking very handy and keeping the head positive. End goal in my intention shout out. Good man, Stuart. Stuart joins me on TikTok as well. We're helping with his recuperation. Slowly but surely. Trying to get him back on his feet and moving again. Keep moving forward. That's all that matters. Going backwards is useless. As the brilliant Mahatma Gandhi says, an eye for an eye makes a blind world. Raymond Grace says, after Bob Lassus of the last Sunday of summertime, oh my God, don't remind me. I'm already feeling that seasonal affective disorder shite. That thing that comes in and you kind of go, oh my God, I don't want to get up, it's dark. I don't want to go out, it's dark. I already feel that. I can feel that happening already, which is really strange. It's a really odd feeling that comes over me this time of the year. I get used to it after a little bit. But Ireland, we're moving into a point now where like 5 hours a day of daylight would be lucky, to get that point. And yet we live as if it's summertime all the time, which is kind of strange when you think about it. I'm after having a massive shoot forward. That sounded like it was going to come out with something else there for a second, but it just went bang, and I missed out on a bazillion questions. Right, we're going to fly through some questions now. Me again, Will McGrath. Skoda Enyaq MX-30 electric worth waiting for. I'd wait until this Enyaq is out. Enyaq is much bigger than the one I drove down here in Ireland in camouflage was much bigger than the MX-30. MX-30 is very small in comparison. It looks big, but it's actually quite small and compact on the inside. It's only really a 4-seat car, and even then it would stretch to that. It's very clever, but I hate to think of this really short range battery in an SUV. I think they could have put a short range battery in a small car like Honda, the same thing like a Mazda 2 or something, instead of making a sort of small SUV again. I know it appeals on the market and it's kind of hard, but Mazda is after putting a lot of money into that MX-30. It has to work for them, it really does. But Skoda Enyaq, I would wait. If I was waiting for a car, I'd wait for that one, because that's going to be, from what I drove already, it's going to be really good. Any of ID4 coming from Volkswagen, which is going to be another one to add to the market, and we're getting very close now to the Seat version as well, the Elborn. There's so much stuff coming right now. I think you'd be crazy to buy an electric car this year, right now, this minute. If you've bought one already, you're fine. You can trade them in and start moving on. But really, the choice is seriously ramping up around now as to what kind of cars you can buy to be electric, to be efficient and actually have something to it you can have fun in. Some of the real handling companies are now starting to get involved in these electric cars and trying to figure out how to make them handle better and stuff. So a lot of the ones that are out there right now are really efficient, but they don't handle so well. So they're not fun to live with. They're fun for the first 6 months, like, until you've charged it for the next 40,000 time. And then you kind of wonder, well, is it just like not a milk float, but just something to get me from to and from work, which is what it should be. Paul Dunn went now. Hi Bob. Paul Dunn. The DSG 7-speed dry clutch, I've been told it doesn't need transmission fluid change, is a lifetime guaranteed. Is it true, or should change the oil, and what mileage intervals? There's two DSGs. The older DSG was a wet clutch, and that gave trouble, which was a full proper wet clutch, so it was a normal one. But that gave trouble over time as it dried out, and people didn't bother changing the fluid, and it started to give a hassle. So they changed it to a dry clutch, which become really reliable. So Volkswagen say you don't have to change it. A lifetime guarantee. Now, what a lifetime means and what a lifetime actually is two different things. It'll be specified what it means by lifetime. Like, I've seen lifetime warranties be 10 years. And you're going, hang on a second, that's not a lifetime of what exactly are you talking about? So I would say, like, transmission oil you would change every 10 years anyway. You like in any transmission, whether it be lifetime or not, you tend to be a 10-year warranty or 10-year turnaround on a transmission fluid. So I would change it just because it's that age. But if Volkswagen say you don't need to, then you don't need to. They're the experts, but they're the ones selling you the car as well. Abba Dabba Jabba. What do you think? That's not me messing. That's just their username, in case you're wondering. What do you think of the Cooper Formentor? That's on the way as well. A 310 horsepower version, and is waiting 1 year to get the 400 horsepower version. And when you'll be getting hands on for review. I was literally talking to Seat the other day, Seat Ireland, and they're getting pretty close to having that car on the road. We were actually planning doing a really cool thing with the Formentor and driving it back from Spain and all that sort of stuff. But now, of course, with these restrictions in, we're just going to have to wait till it gets here. 90 horsepower is a lot. If you wanted to wait for something, that would probably be worth waiting for. It tends to be, it's a lot, you know. There's a big difference between the two, particularly if you start looking at the torque vectoring figures and things, where the torque vector goes up by quite a considerable amount because of 90 horsepower. So you will find that the car is going to be very responsive with more. So it might be probably would be worth waiting for the higher horsepower one. Paul Fitzsimons, how about what's your take on the Outlander PHEV 2020? Mitsubishi's gone, and I'd be worried about parts support and things. I know you can get these sort of things, but I'm always worried about that sort of stuff. But it's a very good car. Essentially, you're buying a 3-engined car. It's a PHEV. It's a sort of a generator thing in the middle of it, which is very cleverly done. And then you have the engine out in front, a proper engine out in front as well. I was on an international launch with it. Seems like 54 years ago at this stage, but it's not. It was only like last year, I think. We went on to France and drove it around this little village thing. It was cool. But it's a really good car, really good. You're actually buying a proper 4x4. It's not very heavy either, which is what I'd be concerned with some of the electric 4x4s, is that they're really heavy. So when you actually want to get into the mud, it just sinks because it's too heavy. So that would be a problem. But the Outlander's not that heavy, not as heavy, and it can tow and it can do all the proper stuff. So I like them. But I'd be worried about support going forward from there on. Bad Shook. Cheers, Bob. Did a Twitch and a Coinbase. Always entertaining and foreign review. Thank you. Good man. Yeah, the Coinbase offer is actually pretty good. Now, I'm not looking for monies off you, but I'm only throwing it up there because if you're going to open a Bitcoin account, you might as well get something for nothing. And you can do the same thing. So you open an account with me from my link, and then you give your link to somebody else and they open another account. We all make a little bit of money for nothing, like for doing absolutely zero other than just signing up for something. So I always try and find those little offers, which are pretty cool. And Twitch, I nearly a partner thing. What do you call that partner thing? I nearly, whatever it is, monetized or something on Twitch now at this stage. I've only done 3 streams, I think. But everybody comes in from TikTok and it's brilliant. It's so much fun. But it's only video games, so it's only just watching me making an arse of myself as an old lad playing with young lads and getting shot in the face every 4 seconds. Michael Callanan, do Dublin Bus have any electric buses out? No, none whatsoever as far as I'm aware. I know they've been examining the system as to what to do with them, how to do it. You could easily put in overhead gantry wires. It would make it look messy along the quays, but you could easily make the buses along the quays be electric. We've had that technology since like 19 like way back. Overhead gantry electricity. Trams of San Francisco, the trams of Lewis, they're all already electric from a gantry system above, so really is straightforward to do. It's not hard to get done. We could supercharge and do it right now. There is already from Volvo and from Scania bus technology that's coming out now with electric stuff in them, battery technology in them. The problem with batteries and buses is the same problem with trucks and buses, is the fact that range is murdered by the size of the vehicle and the weight of the vehicle. So that's the problem with battery technology. So the easiest way out is to literally put up wires and cables and just start putting up overhead wire things, and that would solve a problem with electric buses. In an afternoon you can do that. Irish Foxhound is here. Come on. I'm starting college soon in the city centre. Up the buses. Yeah, you gotta take the buses. Take the Lewis and the bus. Take your chances. Not get murdered Lewis. Stuart McHugh, what tour favourite way to receive a bit of cash? PayPal is best. YouTube, Patreon, or PayPal. I do get premium treatment no matter where I send it. Finding your content real silver line in 2020. Thank you, Stuart. The fastest way to get the most amount of money to me in one shot is PayPal, because PayPal don't really charge a whole lot, right? Patreon is a way to do long-term support, so you can support up to whatever you want, but it just goes out on a monthly in a smaller amount, right? You get the premium stuff there for sure. You get to vote on our Sunday Service Car of the Year. You get a vote there as well on channel membership. Channel membership gives me the least amount of return from YouTube, because YouTube take a cut out of that, and that goes into the YouTube monetization system. So you never actually know how much you're getting from YouTube channel membership. Patreon is the best long-term treatment. And if you want, just open a Coinbase account, and that gets an instant tenner for everybody, which is kind of handy, and you get a tenner out of that as well. But PayPal is the best. Patreon is second best for the drip feed, and then YouTube channel premium membership is there too. But you get premium if you go into PayPal, if you want to do a vote on the Irish Car or Car of the Year from the Sunday Service, which we're doing a viewer choice award. A lot of you have already voted. The votes are going to close at the end of next week. Okay, so that'll be the last time to vote. So this time next week will be the last vote for the Sunday Service Car of the Year, which are going to do a top 10 video, top 10 cars I've driven this year, and then one of those cars will be chosen by the viewers here. So you're going to get a chance to award a car company the Sunday Service Viewer Choice Award, but to get access to the spreadsheet to see all the cars that are on it, you need to be one of the premium channel members. This is the reward stuff I prefer to give people, because it's something you can actually sit down and think about and decide and wonder why and what you've heard. Maybe you've driven it, maybe you haven't driven it. Whatever it is that you decide you like on it, you become the king of all things. So you get a chance to vote, and that's going to be an interesting one. You'd be surprised what way people are voting right now. It's all out for play. I haven't even told the car companies. I never said anything to the car companies. I mentioned it to say it the other day, and they went, "You're having a car, do you?" It's like, oh my god. So yeah, it's our first one. I hope to make this an annual thing as well, so we have the best cars as chosen by the viewers, which should be there. Where are we? Bad Stook says, Bob, when are manufacturers going to make some EVs estates? I want an EV, but most of them are too small. The bigger the SUV types are too expensive. We really need to address what an EV is for, that it doesn't have to be just a transport system. The real problem is that it's so heavy. Like a what do you call it, Peugeot 208, Opel Corsa, even a Honda E are 1.5 tons, and they're small cars, and they're already 1.5 tons. Imagine if you turn that into a Superb, how much that's going to, you'd be close to 2 tons. And like if you get up to the bigger yokes, the e-tron and those kind of cars, they're already nearly 2 tons. So like they're really heavy. And on a B license, you can only drive up to 3.5 tons. So you're getting kind of close. By the time you put something on them and tow hitches and things, it's starting to get really heavy. The real problem is weight, is what's going on right now. And just availability of batteries, which is we're very short of batteries. Always have been, because it's just such a demand on the moment. Same as the second-hand cars are too expensive as well, I think. Mark Parks, I have to work today driving my Dublin bus. Are you driving a Dublin bus? Are you? Big diesel thing. You should be ashamed of yourself. It should be electric, Mark. Andy McAvoy's answered a question. Hi, Hugh O'Donnell says hi. Hi, Hugh. Michael Callanan, thanks Andy. Dewey is here as well, and is a member on our I can see a little green thing comes up. It's really good. It's really handy because you can distinguish who's who along the way. Miminsk, haven't seen that name last week either. Bob, do you see a big impact pricing and availability of electric cars worldwide if Biden wins the US presidency and institutes his green plan to significantly increase electric cars in the US? It could be a problem. See, the problem is not really the cars. The cars can be made. The problem is the batteries. Because car companies make engines, right? Like Honda makes some of the best engines in the world. Volkswagen, same thing, some of the best engines in the world. Go over to the US, see a pile of engines over there as well. There's all kinds of ones, but hardly any of them actually manufacture batteries. So they had to do deals with people like Siemens. And this is they're a Southern Korean company. There's all kinds of deals being done in the background. Now, if you want to do a deal with Siemens or Samsung or whoever it is going to make your battery, you don't want your competitors to get access to those batteries again. So when a battery company goes, well, we're going to deal with Kia and Hyundai, that's grand, no problem. That means Volkswagen isn't going to come anywhere near them. But if there's not enough batteries around, then Volkswagen can't have any batteries. And this is the biggest issue at the moment. This is continually going on. And the more of this happens, the less less battery powered vehicles we're going to get, because car companies don't want to make batteries. They don't want to start making stuff. They like making engines. And that's pretty much it. So we have to find a way through that, and that's what's really holding it up. Now, if Biden comes in, does his green plan in America, and suddenly changes the tax system so that a Ford F-150 isn't affordable by people anymore, and the V8 engine is murdered or whatever it is over there, and everybody's forced into battery technology, then that's a lot of Americans looking for batteries. And then you got a choke on the whole system, as all of these companies in America will have to find more and more and more battery technology for the changeover. And that's a huge problem. It's great for Tesla because he's already ahead of the posse, and he's not dragging along a pile of other cars that need to be supported under warranties, parts, labour, dealerships. He's not dragging it along, so he's got that covered. He'll be caught at some point, but right now he's doing pretty well. Who is that by PayPal? Someone has donated by PayPal. Thank you. I'm just waiting to open it. I want your Face ID. Face ID is not worth a crap to you anymore, is it? Jan Bergholt. Bergholm. Thank you very much. You're very good. Thank you. Very generous of you. A Face ID is crap, isn't it? When you're trying to pay for something and you have to open your phone to do the thing. You go, shit, I'm wearing a mask. And the thing won't get the Face ID with a mask on. Andy coming to shaving ad, Bob, you mentioned yesterday on TikTok you're waiting for confirmation. I'm just waiting, literally. No, I couldn't wait anymore on the Honda E. It had to go out, so I'm going to put on a different video. But yeah, there is an ad coming up for a shaving company, and I'm going to put in a little discount code that gets you a very, very reasonable. It's not going to get me any money, but it gets you guys a very cheap shave gear stuff. I've made an ad and gave it into the company. I had to make an ad with myself in it in my own house, which is very weird. I've made ads before, but never made an ad with me in it, no crew or anything. But it was funny. It'll be up. I hope to get confirmation of that tomorrow, so it might go out with the MX-30 video, or it'll go out at some point. They've already paid for it, so it'll be fine. And the FX7 is spell a mistake, Bob. Never out anything outside the guidelines. I know YouTube does the guidelines. I don't even think about it. How are you, Bob? I'm okay. H2O Dino. Front 242 says, Bob, how do you ... Do I what? I don't know what any of that means. What's the rest of that question? Mark Turner Smith's here. Afternoon, all Flavonites. Sorry, I've forgotten how to spell. Hope all is well. Loved your 330e tune video. That bloke is a genius. That is, he's here somewhere, or he was here earlier on. Maybe he's not here anymore. Ronan is around here somewhere and has been a supporter of the channel for many years. We've gone through many things, me and Ronan, over the years. We've met up with other stuff as well, back when he had a Jag. But yeah, I thought it was a really interesting story. I'm literally lining up a few more of those kind of stories out there right now. Because it gives you the performance car, but you're ticking all the environmental boxes that are. It shows the lunacy of the tax laws, doesn't it? Really, in Ireland, it shows that kind of mad lunacy, as if we sit back and go, yeah, this is really good. We were going to PHEVs and they can get this, that, and he's obeying all that, but has 345 horsepower coming out of his car, so it's really good. I love it. Hugh O'Donnell, has new E-Class got the driver assistance package as standard essential for older drivers? No. Well, I don't have active cruise control in that car now, which I find a bit weird. And I've been looking around at some of the cars that are coming out. Like that E-Class is 75 grand and there's no active cruise control or anything in it. And if you look at the BMW like 530e, which is coming out as well, that doesn't have cruise control either, and it's 85 grand. And I keep looking at the price going, what's going on with the prices? Where are you going? I don't understand what the prices are about. But super car, but the price is a bit high for what you get in it. It's just the interior's gorgeous. The drive on the motorway, it just hoovers along. The battery technology is very good. It's like 50-70 kilometers range, something like that. It's really good. Michael Cannon, light command. Front 242 says, you a Trumpy. Do you a Trumpy? You're not making a whole lot of sense there, Front 242. Hi Bob, love your TikToks. No problem at all. I'm glad you enjoyed the TikToks. They're good fun to make, actually. It's just like 1 minute or 15 seconds. That's it. That's your whole lot. That's it. You got to fit it all into that. Well, it's not like Instagram where you can just continually feed it. How are you, Bob? Greetings from Carlo for Paddy Cahill. Good man. Where is everybody today? What is all doing? What's everyone at? Like, is all sitting at home nursing hangovers, or are you out doing something, or what are you doing? Andy McPhee says +1 on the 330e remap video. That guy cracked the system for sure. He really did. Honest to God, he just found a way around it. Ronan, he's a subscriber. He might be here today. Vidtech Matthew, right, says hi in 3 words there. Morris higher. Hi Bob, looking for a Toyota CHR hybrid. Should it go for 1.8 or 1.2 petrol? Go 1.8. Don't. A proper hybrid one is better. The 1.2 eats itself trying to get everywhere. It just doesn't do what I wanted to do. I found it very underpowered. The proper hybrid 1.8 is a very nice little car to drive around in, and it looks super. If you get the right one, get the two-tone version now, get the nice coloured roof and all it looks great. A decent car to drive. Front 242, do you like soft cell? No. I don't know what's the music soft cell. No, don't think so. I can't remember what any of the songs they sing. Eugene Murphy, I love your channel. Thank you, Eugene. Joseph and Annie, what car to buy before December 31st, before our VRT increase? That's a good question. Essentially anything between now and then, because it's all going up. Really, realistically, all the cars are going up in January. They're all going to go. They've all gone up every single year for the last 5 years because of WLTP. Actually drove them up anyway. They were going up by like $3,000 a year every single time. If you look at any of the press releases I get, which I keep all the time, you look back at the prices of any car from about 4 or 5 years ago, and they're at least $5,000 more expensive now. And any car, that is, forget about electric cars around it, they're all up there as well. But definitely any of the petrol and diesel cars have all gone up because of WLTP and because of other reasons. But WLTP is one of them, and they disguise the price increase in a handy way by just saying here's the kit over the last one. Here's the kit we're putting in the standard, and that's why it's $5,000 more expensive. But actually, it's just gone up because of WLTP and all. So they try and hide it. Derek Fennon, thank you very much. Very generous of you for super chats. You can donate as well. Don't forget the Noah link down below if you want the new news overall. It's a great way of supporting the channel, to be honest with you, because you just sign up, and it's usually 120 quid a year, but it's only €60 a year, and it's really good. It's great sources. You've got all the good sources out there: the Washington Post, the Irish Times, the Irish Independent. They're all the sources that they use for, but they read it out in a lovely audible way. You know, like Audible, when you download a radio book. It's the same sort of thing, but they break down a news story for you, and it's proper journalism, like real journalism. You can support it. It's €60 for a sign up. I get a cut of that. Doesn't cost you anything extra. You get it half price, and at the end of the year, then you can decide what you want to do. Renew. It's for 12 months, and you can download. It's premium, so you can get everything you want out of it. Link down below, as I should say. I'm not very good at saying that. Link down below stuff. Hi Bob, can't wait to see the full review of the Honda E. That will be the end of this month or the end of next month. I can't remember. It's coming, and the kids are very excited because they were looking at the video going, I want it, so cute. Which is good. And I got to have James May in my review. Finally, he's in the beginning of the review. Would you believe it? Actually, I watched that series on Amazon Prime. The only thing I did actually watch on Amazon Prime was that, because there's nothing really else that I could find there to watch I was even interested in. John McCaffrey, hi Bobbin. The market for a 16 plate BMW 1 Series with 50,000 miles alongside service history, what should look out for? Thanks, John. I'm in the market for 1 Series 50,000 miles. If you're looking that old, 1 Series would be the kind of entry level of BMW, so it tends to be sold to learner drivers. So the clutch, if you're buying the manual one, the auto box if you're buying the automatic one, a timing belt, timing chain. Some of the gaskets goes in those kind of BMW 1 Series ones as well, because it's a smaller engine, it's under more pressure all the time, so just make sure it's all done. It's the history is really what you're looking for all the time. The only other thing that happens with 1 Series is it eats front tires, because the early ones are all rear wheel drive, so it's constantly trying to dig in on every one of the corners, so it eats the front tires, but that's quite normal for them to do that. David Ross says, the guy I'm buying off runs a garage. Before I pick it up, the car is getting a timing belt and all that I managed to wangle in a price of car at 101,000 miles. See, get something. Never talk about the price of your used car. Never talk about the price you're paying for the new car. Always talk about the cost to change. If they've stopped and they're not offering any more money in the cost to change, then you start talking about what they will do to the car before you buy it. So they'll give it a full service, they'll change the timing belt, all of these things that will cost you money. Take a bill away from the future. That's how you give yourself peace of mind. You take a future bill away. So you go, listen, give us 4 new tires on it then. So at least next year you don't have to change your tires, right? So anything you can get off them to do stuff. It's the advice I give out on TikTok all the time. And the same applies for getting a timing belt done, because timing belt things can go so bad wrong that you can end up paying 500, 600, 700 euro to change the timing belt real quick, and that's money that it's going to be a stress thing. And if it breaks, it's not the end of your engine, but it certainly can do huge harm if the pistons hit the top of the head and the valves get bent. It could be catastrophic, like write-off stuff. Door Rob, looking at new WLTP bans. Cars in the UK have displayed new WLTP emissions on version 5 since April 2020. Government has also conversion equation to convert NFEC to WLTP. It's a long way of saying that we can do both. We were doing both. We were running side by side here for a while, and they just deferred bits of it. What they did was they didn't put the whole price increase in 1 year. They put it across 3 or 4 years. So we're getting this kind of slow increase in time, that's okay. It's all right, but it just makes it very difficult for people to manage and understand, because it's been such a slow creep. Now all of a sudden, what was a 25 grand car is now a 30 grand car. You know what I mean? And it going up, it's 35 grand. And electric cars started out at 50 and have come down a little bit, but they still haven't come down very much. You're still looking at a standard like Kona or something is still 50 grand, 49,000 euro. And then be very careful. There was a wording in the budget that was used about the grant system, because there's two grants, not two grants. There's a VAT reduction, VRT rebate that you get is 5,000 euro, and then the other one is an actual grant that you get, the SISIMI or someone gives it to you. No, one of them gives it to you anyway. Another 5 grand. Now he said that they would just phase it out. They didn't actually put any meat to that as to whether they're going to phase out next year or the next budget or whatever it was. So I don't know what way that's going to go. But look, electric cars are going to be part of the future for sure. I just would love if the government would clarify what they're going to do. Like, it just seems as very slow, eating away at diesel is bad, petrol is bad, electric is good, but we're not really going to do a whole lot of electric. That's essentially what they're saying. Look at them driving out of the Dáil last night in their BMWs, diesels, by the way. Even the Minister for Transport, Eamon Ryan, the Green Party leader, has a 2.9 litre Volkswagen Caravelle. Just thought it said and a bike. I have a bike as well. I have to get Cross's bike out. I'm making a video about an electric bike. You'll see. Front 242. Am I right not letting them fix my diesel gate 1.6 said Toledo? Why are you talking about the recall? That should be all finished by now. If it was a recall coming from, it doesn't matter. Go and get it fixed, because it's good for the environment to get it fixed, because it was a cheat. It was a system that was put into your car to cheat the system. It doesn't really do a whole lot to your car as far as I know. You might lose 2 horses off the top of your horsepower, but it looks like diesel is going to be hammered. It always looks that way. Everyone seems to be against diesel all of a sudden, even though it's the cleaner of the two fuels, petrol or diesel. It's actually cleaner. But NOx though, NOx is terrible. Yeah, it's just a lot of NOx is terrible, but it's around everywhere. Danny Farrell, how are you, Bob? I'm named driver for 6 years. Any way of reducing premiums on my own first policy next year? They will consider the last 6 years of driving without claims. The best thing to do there, Danny, yes, some of them do, some of them don't. Some of them give you half, so 6 years will get you 3 years no claims bonus. So some do that half thing. So the best way to do it is start ringing the insurance companies, have that script in your head saying, I'm already driving for the last 6 years, can you count my no claims bonus as a named driver? And give them the details of that policy. You might start with, if you're on your MAS policy or your DAS policy or something, you might start with that insurance company, because they already have your name, they already have your details. So you might start there and work your way along. It'd probably be the best way. I would do it that way. But yes, they will consider some of it, and some of them don't. Now, if they just go, no, we don't do that, you're starting from scratch, then you're in trouble. But most of them do actually consider the no claims bonus over time. So yeah, definitely go for it. Adimin Hatifa. Hello, Bob. I hope you're doing great. I am. Thanks for all your efforts. Thanks. No problem at all. It's always good. It's a two-way conversation. Like, we're all in this together. Like, and with lockdown 5 coming, I'll do more of these live things if you want, just to kind of more than just a Sunday service. We'll have like a Tuesday service or something. We'll have a Tuesday tune-up. My God, I just christened a whole new live stream. Tuesday tune-up. I like it. Mike Burke. Hi, Bob. Sister wants a T-Roc Kona type yoke. Anything you'd recommend in that segment? She wants 2018, 2019, fairly good spec for approximately 16 grand. I think the T-Roc is very basic and the Kona is a bit naff. It's the budget there. Most of those cars you're talking about are relatively new, so the problem is you're going to end up buying something for 16 grand, but it's at the very top of your budget, but it's the entry level one, you know. There isn't really, there's tons of cars on 7, but there's not one that's going to particularly beat the T-Roc. I think the T-Roc is pretty good, but the basic one isn't brilliant. The basic one is a basic one, so none of the basic ones are going to be that much good anyway. keep rooting around, Mike. It's so wide open. One of the lads will do it in the comments for you as well. Have a look at other ones. They're usually very good at answering those sort of questions as well. Keep it up to standard. The Butcher. Hi Bob, looking forward to running a Sunday service squad in Warzone sometimes. You're on. We did last night. Funny, I met up with a couple of guys last night that I don't know the real names yet, but we played for. He's like, one of them is ranked number 2 in Europe or something for Warzone. So he was a really good player last night, and so I'm hoping that we're going to get going in a big way with those guys and make some sort of group thing out. It's great crack. It's a brilliant distraction from cars for a start, but it's a brilliant distraction from everything. You just kind of sit there and watch and engage and have a laugh. Where's the next one? Rajiv says, excellent innovative work, thank you. Thank you, Andy. Look it up. Rajiv says, I want to work with you. That's okay, many people want to work with me, it's fine. I know I'm hugely attractive and everybody wants to just work with me. It's fine. We're socially distant, so we can't work together, and that's the end of it. But it should be okay. Jim Shed says, check out Jim Shed on YouTube. Lots of tips on mechanical problems with various makes and models. Boom! There you go, Jim Shed. Hit him up. Go find out about mechanical stuff. Hopefully, that's actually, I can't actually click your name and go to that thing and do anything for you. But I'll have a look at you now. And I have 2 screens now, so I can do all sorts of stuff. I can't type though. YouTube Jim's Shed. Did you mean YouTube Jim's Shed? It says YouTube. Yeah, I think so. I don't know. Go here. Do this one. Jim Shed. No, that's not you. That's Michael something or other. I still don't have a Jim Shed though, Jim. Jim Shed. Anyway, we'll come back to it later on. It'll be fine. Ocean Froggy, Saint Bob the Baptist converted me to EV last year with a review. Thanks, it worked. I know. I was giving out to you this morning. You're on Sunday Service Facebook page, which you can join as well. And I was saying it's a shame that none of the EVs actually drive very nice. They're all deadly at bringing you around the world wherever you want to go and do it incredibly efficiently. But none of them are kind of a laugh to drive, apart from the kind of newer yours. Like the Honda E is a laugh to drive, but I'd say that laugh would go off your face real quick when you see how much electricity you've used for having a laugh because they're so heavy. But the biggest pain in the hole I have, Ocean Fraggy, is sitting at the charge points and everyone walking up and talking about EVs to you. Which is, everybody, so you pull up at a charge point, oh yeah, what's that one now? Oh, yeah, how do you plug that in? Everyone, they're so friendly. Everybody's so curious. It's really good. Jay Slugburr says, I'm from Sweden. I found your channel looking at VW California. Followed you since. Great accent, amusing car reviews. Thank you very much, Jay. California, one of my all-time favourite cars. I know it's a van and it's a mini or a camper van, but I love it. I just love the thing. It's so useful as a van and so useful as a car. So not just a van, a car as well, because it's got 4 seats. You can drive around every day. Nobody pays a blind bit of attention to it when you're driving around it. There's 2 of them here in Portlaoise. And I know one of the guys who's taught me he bought it because I said it was good. So I've had a look around it, and I showed him a couple of tips and tricks that I learned from using them every year. Michael attached to the bus information. Yeah, Owen MacDonald, rather than developing EVs with 1,000 horsepower, would it not be better to concentrate on range? 150 horsepower is enough for most people. I still don't think range is the answer really, because you very rarely have to, in any of the things, have to actually go that far. You don't have to go as far as you might think you have to go. Really, like, I've used the PHEV Mercedes there for the last 4 or 5 days, and my range is so short that I've never actually turned a diesel engine on, other than I drove up the motorway one evening with the missus as we're going up the going around the back end of Portlaoise. So we're going out one end and coming back in the other way, so the diesel engine came on during that, but that was it. So the range you need for an electric car isn't necessarily 500 kilometers, because every time we reach the range, every time we do this idea of, well, when they do 500 kilometers, I'll buy one, and then they can do 500 kilometers. You go, well, when they can do 1,000 kilometers, I'll buy one. That makes no sense, because the only thing you can do 1,000 kilometers is a big diesel engine. But it's funny how we keep doing that. Horsepower is not the answer either. Going after 1,000 horsepower is not really a big deal either. What we really need is just a useful car that can be the second, because everybody has 2 cars these days. That's the kind of average now. We 2.5 million cars on the road, but there's a little over 1 million driver's licenses. When you start looking at it that way, which means that a lot of people have 2 cars, one for themselves, one for the wife, one for the daughter, or something, 2-3 cars. If you replace half the cars on the road with electric cars, we'd stop worrying about the whole diesel, petrol, that should be EV or not. If half the cars, if 1.5 million cars on the road in Ireland today were electric, we'd have no problem with CO2 emissions. It would disappear overnight. It would disappear. But then the conversation changes to what else produces CO2, like airplanes, like the peat-fired power stations that are here in the Midlands. It's the other stuff. It's the big heavy industry we got to look at as well. We really got to look at that sort of stuff. Where was I? H20 Dino said, Bob, they were thinking of not putting the clocks back this year. I would prefer if they just left the bleeding clocks alone. It absolutely upsets the whole wide world every time we do it. We go back and we go forward, then you can't get up properly for 3 days, or you get up in the dark every day, which is terrible. It's just a pain in the ass. Why don't you just leave it alone and let it on? We had a vote not so long ago, and we failed. We still have to change it. I would have changed. I'd just leave it alone. Leave it on. Leave it on in the Irish accent. Amain says, I have one weird question. I'll sit back now and prepare myself for this one. Why do we need to add liquid cooling or water to an engine while it's running, not while it's off? Say that again. Why do we need to add liquid cooling or water to the engine while it's running and not while it's off? So the water circulated through the engine to keep the engine at temperature. That's what keeps the temperature down a bit. That water also is heated to push heating into the car. So there's a big fan on the front of your car, and that fan is cooling the radiator, and the radiator is cooling the water, which is keeping the engine cool. So between the whole lot, it has to be circulated. And even when the car is ticking over, not driving along, that fan comes on to keep everything cool anyway. Now there's other reasons. Fans also come on through DPF cycles as well. When you pull up and you get out of your car, your diesel car, and the fan stays on, goes woo out front of it, that's because it's in the middle of a DPF cycle. So I'm still trying to do it while you get out of the car. But while it's off, you don't need to add liquid water engine to keep it running while it's off. When it's off, it just keeps cold. There's no heat going through it. That's all. Ada Daba Jabba. Thanks, Bob, for the Formentor update. We'll keep an eye on your review. Thanks. John McGarvey. Hi, Bob. An update on my crazy VRT quote of €14,266 VRT for a 2005 Audi TT Cabriolet. Oh, I remember this, yeah. After complaining through revenue, we got it down to 1,300 quid. People do not need to pay, then appeal, John. Oh, no. There we go. That's all right. No, that's good information for anyone who is importing their own cars. You can appeal before paying. They were talking about you had to pay and then appeal later. And that was what they were going on about the whole time. But it seems John got himself through it. That's some change, isn't it? For an Audi 2005 Audi TT Cabriolet, he was quoted €14,266 for VRT. It's now €1,300, which is more logical. But how they just seem to pull them numbers out of their arse, lads, don't they? Really, the VRT quotes just seem to go, should just throw out the number and see if we pay it. Annie McAfee says, reference DSG, the older dry gave issues, then the older wet was more reliable. Yes, sorry, that's the wrong way around. I said it the wrong way around. And the newer dry went into only smaller output vehicles, no bother. Newer 6-7 speed wet went into the rest, been fine. There you go. It's good information from Angie. Ritmaz, VW Golf TDI 2-litre 150 brake horsepower 2010, 85,000 miles. Are they reliable? 2 owners and service history, time belt done. Love the show and reviews. History sounds good. History sounds okay. 85,000 miles on a 2010 is good mileage. That's alright. It's about right. Sounds like a good distance. 2-litre TDI is probably one of the better engines that Volkswagen have made all them years. It's been around forever, and that's always a good sign. So if an engine has disappeared from a range, something happened. Either the CO2 emissions couldn't be fixed, or they couldn't get the CO2 emissions down, or they couldn't push it on any further, whatever it is, and they had to get rid of it. So, but if they're still doing it, it's always a good sign that the engine was very reliable and were able to make adaptations to it. Hence, like the 1.5 DCI from Renault is now 1.6, same engine. 2-litre TDI still exists across the Volkswagen range, still good. 150, I think it puts out 160 these days, something like that. So it's a solid yoke. Yeah, if time belt is done and the history's good, buy it, done. It'll be very reliable for you. Adam Kelly says, hey Bob, what do you think about the Golf GTE? That's a good car, actually. In fairness, it's lovely to drive. And is it a GTE PHEV? I think it is, yeah. Or is it just a hybrid? No, I think it's a PHEV. If the one I'm thinking of is actually a really good car to drive, yeah, really nice. It's a Golf with a bit of battery stuff in it, which is quite a nice way of doing it. My sister's TDI Golf 5 door is nice and very reliable. Yeah, I see. Irish Foxhound. No, the noob on Warzone. We were all ooze at the beginning. Second place of my team last night playing 3 a.m. Oh my god. Add me on TikTok or add me on Blizzard. Is it called Blizzard? I can't remember how you do it. On Warzone. And we'll have a game later on today. National Scallywag. Hydrogen is on the way to go at buses and HGVs. It's about bleeding time, to be honest with you. We've been talking about hydrogen nearly as long as EVs, and realistically we really need to look at that whole situation, because hydrogen is brilliant. If it's used in an industrial sense, it's going to be pretty good. If it's not industrial, as us just driving around a place, hydrogen isn't going to work yet. Not without massive investment. It really is going to require a huge amount of investment to make it work. But even then, I don't think. Just talking to people who are in that system, who know how that's working, it just really, for personal use, it's going to be battery vehicles into the future. Right now, it's a mix of all the fuels, trying to find out which one is going to rise to the top. There's still plenty of investment going into diesel and petrol. The only thing that's changed now is the kind of, the marketing behind diesel and petrol has changed a bit, but other than that, it's pretty much the same. National Scallywag. Oh no, we did that. Irish Runner. Did EVs under 30 grand go down in price with a new change? Only a tiny bit. Really not in a massive amount. Most of the EVs kind of went up a bit or stayed the same, more or less. So you didn't really get anywhere with the. It was just such a stupid budget. Just a nothing budget for the motorist again. The only thing that really penalised was people who can't afford an EV. That's really who they penalised. So if you drive a car that's 10 years old, a 2010 or 2009, 2008, anything back that direction, your petrol and diesel has gone up because of carbon tax, which carbon tax is just bull from the government. It's just it's greenwashing, sort of. Is the government be able to say, oh no, we do pay, everybody pays a carbon tax. That's what we pay to pollute. Is essentially what a carbon tax is for. Is essentially what any of those taxes are for. Is just a pay to pollute factor. So putting carbon tax up doesn't penalise industry, who is putting out the most amount of CO2. It penalises the end user, which makes their fuel more expensive, and they can't afford it anyway, and that means that they definitely can't afford to upgrade to anything modern that's going to be cleaner for the environment. It doesn't make any sense, like, what's going on. They just keep penalising older ones. Foxhound says, Bob the Noob. That's me. Literally on Warzone. I only started playing it recently, but I hold my own. now on Warzone. I did alright last night. Ravi Devi says, hi Bob, I'm your big fan. Thanks Ravi, good man, glad to have you aboard. Keep going, it's always good. John McGarvey has paid to ask a question. No, he's not asked a question. Just paid. Just out of the goodness of his heart, just paid. Great Sunday service from some great advice on the channel. Thank you very much. Keep up the great work, Jonathan Donegal. I love Donegal. I love Donegal. There's something about when you cross the border into Donegal, there's something just about relaxing. I don't know what it is. I love Donegal. I have to get back up there again at some point. I spent many a lovely time in a rented house up there. A friend of mine owned a house, he just lent it to me. He sold the bleeding house now, so I can't get it. But it was a little rented, what was the name of the town? Kill something or other. Along the coast. It was gorgeous anyway. Hit the like for Bob's Irish Jig. Come on, that's the way to have you. Ambrose McGarry says, hi Bob, I'm looking at ID3 and Enyaq online. Only rear wheel drive in Ireland. Skoda gets all wheel drive in the UK. How do you think it behave on black ice, rural roads, no salt? I know all the rear wheel drives. The ID3 is rear wheel drive. Honda E is rear wheel drive. The Enyaq is rear wheel drive. They're all kind of going that way because it's just the layout of the car lends itself well to, because they put most of the motor system in the back of it. So that lends itself to rear wheel drive quite well. I don't know. I assume they've thought of this. They must have thought of this. We don't get much ice in Ireland, but when you do, it's black. Like, it's you can't see it. It's just like you hit it and suddenly you're going around in circles. I don't know whether four wheel drive is too expensive by far to make them the way that, like Tesla. Look at the Tesla model, the all dual motor one. It requires more motors than just the one in the back. So I don't know how it's going to behave. We'll find out this winter. I drove that one last winter and it was fairly ropey now. That Skoda Enyaq, and I never noticed. That was a rear wheel drive one. Hit the like for Bob. Hi, I'm new and accidentally clicked on this. What's going on? It's a motoring show. No, it's not. It's a show about doctors and nurses. That's what it's a show. Bob's doing mass. Bless you, son, for joining us, Jacob, on this lovely Sunday. Please kneel and take a seat and start your prayers right now. No, we've done that early on when we started Sunday service first. I still remember that woman who came in and she goes, I thought this was mass. Where's the mass bit? Where's my pastor? Sunday service is so much fun. It's been good. We had a few mass people to turn up once in a while. Jacob says, oh, and just goes, right, Bob's doing mass. I'm out. Graham Home. Alternative fuel vehicles in the UK, can you drive up to 4.25 tonnes with a certified 5-ton tuition from approved trainer? Can you? I don't know. We have the licensing system here which allows 3.5 tonne when you are fully licensed, and then you have to get licenses beyond that and do certified training to go beyond the 3.5 tonne. Then I think there's training coming for towing as well, as far as I know. T5 Terry says, hello Bobby boy, I'm getting quite addicted to your Sunday service. Do you take confessions? I do, by DM through PayPal. That's how you keep the wheels a turning, boys. Keep the wheels a turning. Keep the lights on. Keep the lights on, which are over there. I do take confessions by DM on Instagram and many other. Look, actually, Instagram is broken now at this stage because everybody on TikTok who couldn't get their questions answered came over to Instagram and asked questions there as well. So it's kind of funny in that respect. It was good crack. But yes, donations get my ear immediately. Lots of people do on Patreon and on channel memberships, so there is bits and pieces. Channel members is not as good as Patreon at keeping in touch, by the way. If you're a channel member and you fancy going back to Patreon, go for it. It's much easier to keep in touch with you all. Channel memberships just kind of gets buried in the comments attached to a video. So when I put up a video, I get a load of comments that comes up on my list, but in among them is going to be the channel membership stuff, which is really hard to keep in touch with. So Patreon messages come to my inbox immediately. I go straight into my inbox and I can go straight away and answer it. It's much easier. So if you find whatever you do, it's the same rates on both ones. So whichever one suits you better to work there. The only good thing is on channel memberships, you come up in a different colour in the chat on the Sunday service and identify you from a distance. Jacob Holby said something in a different language. Trump will get the silent vote. Trump's going to do it again on a double. Yeah, I don't know whether he will or not. It's never hard. It's impossible to predict with him. You know, he comes through in the last minute. That's what he did. That's what he did last time as well. It was just the last minute suddenly tipped over the edge. I still remember. You know what? I can still remember waking up. Morning Ireland, 7 a.m. The alarm clock goes off. Morning Ireland comes on, and the first words out of your mouth of your one was, "Good morning, we wake this morning to Donald Trump being the new president of the United States." And I really thought it was a complete wind-up. I just couldn't have envisioned this orange man being in charge of an entire country, but it happened. Hey, that's life, huh? D says, what are your thoughts on the car ran on hemp in California? It's very renewable, apparently. Hemp is one of the most renewable, growable things we can do. It has multiple uses, and is not psychoactive in any way, because that's the plant, that's a seeded plant. It's a different thing entirely, which is the hemp is, you can make clothes out of it, you can do all kinds of things with hemp. But we have an aversion in Ireland to anything to do, even the discussion on legalising drugs or anything like that, and yet hemp seems to get bundled into the marijuana discussion when it's not, one has nothing to do with the other. A mate of mine gave me a present one time of a hemp jacket, which was lovely. It slowly fell asunder. He made it like from hemp. It slowly fell to bits and just couldn't be washed around. It was really good. It was homemade. It was really good. You can do anything with it. But I would like you can, peanut oil was the original one that Diesel was going to go with to run his engines, but he couldn't get enough of it, which is another easy resource to get as well. Then he was going to use olive oil. Then he was going to use anything. And then he decided to use a version of petroleum, which is essentially what diesel is. Diesel and petrol is the same thing. Just there's a lot of chemicals added to diesel now to make it a different fuel. A different ignition system is the only difference. How it ignites is by pressure, not by spark. Derek Fennon, hi Bob. I'm sure do like the Honda E. When will Honda E Sport be available in Ireland? The Sport one I think was coming in January, but I think they're available to order now though. I think you can pre-order stuff from Honda. I must ask Honda Ireland to clarify that one actually. Cathal Lennon says, no better combo watching Bob and washing a car. That's a Sunday thing to do, washing a car for sure. I wonder what we're going to do tonight. I'd like to there's no good TV shows. There's nothing made for lockdown. So I'm just watching bleeding reruns. You sit down eating and have dinner. And like The Chase is on from 2008. You know, I'm looking at Bradley watch one episode he's young and the next episode he's old. It's just like, what's going on? But it's good to have the Sunday service on just to make it chilled out and relaxed. And no hurry on anything. We've loads of time now. I'll be 45 minutes left. We're okay. Loads of time. Clover video. Hi Bob, I was wondering which type of new car is better for me. I'm looking at a hybrid, a diesel and electric car. I don't do a lot of miles, 10k a year. Which seems best for me? Darren, electric car. For 10k miles per year, you could easily get away with like nearly generation 1.5 Nissan Leaf. But it depends on whether you like video or you like driving or not. None of those electric cars are really that good to drive. In the hybrid range, if you don't like driving electrics and you don't want a full electric thing and you fancy just the hybrid version, Toyota have been doing hybrids for years. Any of the Toyotas out there will do the best kind of hybrid system for you. But for 10k a year, electric all the way, I would say you'll see the difference in the price, how much money you spend on the car and a whole lot, because it's going to be a lot cheaper for you to run. But you will need a home charge point for sure. You may build that into the price. It's going to cost you about €600 for a home charge point, and then you get a grant for the other €600. But between those two things, you're going to save money over time. Next few years, you'll make it back easily. Brian O'Donnell, at work break, listen to your Sunday service. See, we're on everywhere. We're in everybody's mind. Every Saturday I was going to say every Saturday at 2:00, which we missed it yesterday. Every Sunday at 2:00. Andy McAfee, that's it, Bob. I'm going to spam the living bejesus out of you with links of interesting stuff on Amazon Prime. Oh my God, don't start with Amazon Prime. I always see things on Amazon Prime and then I go, I want it. And then I try the 30-day free and I watch 5 minutes of it and go, oh my God, it's so boring. It's some American crap that I can't watch. I have so much TV stuff as well to catch up on. I just have no time. I'm just running so many different things at once. Because everything you see output-wise from this channel is me. Just me. TikTok, the YouTube thing, the Instagram posts, the running stuff, any of that stuff, that's just, I do that all on my own. And I just work. I love it though. I love it. You never work a day in your life if you love your job, right? And I love my job. It's so much fun. This is funny because I'm watching myself over there and over here at the same time. And one is live. That one's way behind that one. That one's live. That one's not live. Joseph Mulvaney, do you do LGV reviews? What's an LGV? No, probably. If I don't know what it is, I probably don't do it. No, I do car reviews. Peter Eucard, Bob, always give great advice. No problem. Anytime you need advice, get in touch. My DMs are always open for everybody on the channel if you ever need to chat about anything. Again, I'm back to the mental health thing, that I'm not some far off distant person you only see on a Sunday. You can get in touch with me anytime if you need to talk about something. I'm usually about somewhere. Or talk to someone you trust. Always talk to someone about something. If you have something on your mind, men are awful. Men don't talk to each other. And then they don't talk about anything when they meet. They just have a laugh. You know, it's just a laugh together, which is brilliant. But sometimes you just need to talk. And like I've talked to people over the last while, particularly over the lockdown stuff, and I've gone to visit people and stuff. And you know, you talk to them for a few minutes and you realise how hard it is to be alone, to be lonely, to be uncertain of what's coming in the future. And that's, you know, that plays on people's minds. So talk to the people around you, because whether you need to talk or not is not relevant when someone else needs to talk to you and you don't realise it. And they're spitting their guts onto the floor around you and you don't realise that that's actually happening around you. So always talk to each other, talk around, listen to people, just say, how are you going? And then just listen, see what happens next. My wife thinks it's terrible. Every bloody time we go to the shop, I end up with somebody's life story. I drive my wife mental because she's off shopping, walking around the place, and I'm standing there talking to someone. She comes back and goes, what happened? I go, well, you know, his brother left his wife 2 years ago and went off and lives in Canada. And the whole bleeding story, because people tell me things. It's always happened my whole life since I've been a child. People just tell me their life story. I don't know why. It's just friendly faces, I suppose. Eric Washington, I presume refinement comfort is the same with the E-Class. You have the test versus the regular diesel E-Class. It'd be hard pushed to justify a move from my E220 diesel to too big a price difference for me. That's the problem, is the price difference. It's such a super car, but the price at €75,000, that's a lot of money. And you don't, like, the kit is good, but you don't get all of the best kit. You don't get everything you ever wanted, which is what I want a €75,000 car. If I'm going to drop that on the car, I want active cruise control. I want seats that hug me. I want a lot, like, for that kind of car. If it wasn't electric, it'd be a 50 grand car. You know what I mean? There's a lot of hidden bits in the money. Johnny Morris, I saw the ID3 yesterday. It looks great, but 48k, 38 after grants. They're taking a piss. I think they're just pocketing the grants. They're pricing it to compete, and so they're all pocketing the grants. It's not just Volkswagen or Hyundai or anyone. They're all in there. You know, they're all 50 grand. They're all nearly that price starting out. The affordable stuff, the other stuff, the Audis and Mercedes EQCs and all, they're at the other end of that. But the stuff that's meant to be affordable is €50,000, where they're all at. So there must be something in it, and then you get 10 grand off that. And they all quote the price with the grant off it, by the way. So they all say, "Oh, this car only costs from 23,950," and you go, 23. It doesn't say that on the thing. They go, "Well, that's the price with the grants." It's 33,950. You mean? So I have a problem with them. I think they should be forced to quote both prices, because the grants are going to disappear eventually. There's no way that Eamon Ryan and all them can continue with those grants. Giving away 5 grand for every single car is just funding the car industry. If they gave the grant to the user, like if they were to give me 5 grand to spend on a car, and then I could go and choose things, but instead it goes to the dealership. See, the dealership sorts the grant out for you. It should go the other way around. You're incentivizing the wrong end of the market. Will the ID4 be coming soon to review? No, I don't think it'll be until after January next year, I'd say, before it even lands here or gets near here. We're still only seeing real sketches of it. Like, they're still only revealing bits of it as to, you know, the real car. We still haven't seen the actual metal or the technology behind it. The problem is there's not much technology behind any of them, the electric cars. They're all kind of much of a muchness. Joseph Milani, 2014 Tiguan went in for Dieselgate recall, and it kept shutting down after 500 kilometres. Dealers couldn't fix it, traded in for Focus. Bloody hell, shutting down. Don't know what happened there. I know some people complained that they detuned the car, so it actually lost a bit of horsepower. Only a small bit, but it felt different under the turbo pressure. Felt different under it. So I'm not too sure. I didn't have a recall one, but I noticed after Dieselgate that a lot of cars felt a little flatter than they did before Dieselgate, the press cars. So I think they were detuned. Footy Ferrari, in the Times yesterday, Eamon Ryan applying for planning permission to install EV chargers. He's going electric. Why is he planning permission? What's he doing? Installing EV chargers where? On the Dáil? You're going to get the lads. You're really going to get the Dáil who don't pay for cars already to come and buy electric cars as well. So I'm hoping that, boys. Can you imagine the boys from Kerry now coming up in anything other than a Skoda Octavia? Which is what? Is a Skoda Superb or Octavia? The lads from Kerry drive up, who make great points in fairness to them. And the same for the Mayo TDs and all that sort of stuff. I don't think they'll change over. These are the same TDs who were saying that you couldn't drive an electric car through a big puddle of water. I can't imagine that happening, boys. Stephen Doherty is cheaper, lower. I always read your name, Stephen Doherty, and look at it and go, that's not actually Stephen Doherty from the TD, is it? Obviously not. But I always, for a moment, I always go, could that be Stephen Doherty? Cheaper, lower range ID3 coming, long range and most expensive selling first. Yeah, the ID first is the one you can buy now, the ID3 first edition. And there's a longer range one, a 500 kilometre range one coming. That's coming for the Enyaq as well. And then there's another, I hate to say shorter range, but probably a more affordable one, a quicker charging one as well, because it's got a smaller battery. So that's the one I would go for. If I was buying an electric car, a brand new one right now, I'd actually buy just whatever's the lowest entry level car I could find. I mean, of the car I like. So if it was like a Zoe, I would buy the entry level Zoe, the cheapest one, because I don't think you're going to see the money back out of it on the other end if you would buy the long range one. I think in the next 3-4 years we're going to find longer range batteries coming, so your long range 500 kilometers battery will look insignificant when we see the 900 kilometer ones coming. You know, we'll see those much longer, more efficient range batteries that are on the way. They're being talked about. I can hear it. You can smell it coming from all the research that's going on. You can see that they're going after that long range stuff. So I'd buy the cheapest, whatever the cheapest electric car is. Peter Ucart says, "Hi Bob, we're DOE's Ireland get electric. Where does Ireland get its electric from? Electric cars are great if you get electric from wind, solar. Otherwise, worse than petrol and diesel. We do a lot of renewable resource. We have a lot of wind power at the moment. Probably not today because absolutely no wind. I was out there running today, but very little today. But we do have, and when you drive down the motorways, you actually see it on the way down to Cork. You can see it on the right hand side. The wind farm is there. So there are days where we get 60 to 70% renewable energy happening into Ireland. Some days it's been higher than that. Some days it's been a bit lower. It just depends on the day and the wind that's in it. We're investing a lot in renewable energy generally, but we still have peat-fired power stations up the road which are due to close in 2 years. I think they'll be closed and turned into something else. Raymond Gallagher, hi Bob, how's you cutting? I'm alright. Big fan of the channel, thank you. What's your opinion on 2017 Focus ST250 Ecoboost? Good car, really good. STs are really good. It's where Ford does good jobs. RS STs, they do really good jobs in the car up there as well. And that's before the new Ford Focus, which I'm not keen on the new Ford Focus. I don't really like the look of it, and the more I see of it, the less I like it, which is terrible. Just the look, I'm just not keen on the look of it. But that Focus ST is really good. I think I had a test of that. I think that's on the channel somewhere. Didn't I drive an orange one or something? I seem to remember driving it across Wicklow with Leah Carroll. What's the deal with the NOx budget changes? NOx is the charge when you're importing a car into Ireland. The NOx is tested, and they've put up the NOx charge now. So if it's a dirty diesel, you should be paying extra tax. That's fine, but they've just put up the NOx charge, so now it just looks unaffordable for most people. And that's essentially what they're trying to do, is make it a difficult thing to import a car. The SIMI are happy with that because it protects dealerships, but actually you're protecting a dealership for nothing. You're just not letting the dealership compete. If dealerships, I'll tell you now, as sales staff have told me multiple times, if they were allowed to compete with the UK on the cars, if VRT was removed and NOx tax was removed and that sort of stuff, if they were actually allowed to compete, we'd get better cars, much cheaper cars, and people would stop going to the UK and Northern Ireland to get better cars because they'd be here. We'd have them. But because of our taxes, we look like idiots. We literally look like the stupidest people on earth buying a car in this country because they're so expensive because of the amount of tax. VRT, VAT, NOx tax, all this other stuff on top of it. It's cheaper to buy a blooding car in Norway, and they're really expensive. Mark O'Reilly, hi Bob. SEAI grant, that's the crowd, is to be phased out by the end of 2021. However, at the start of 2021, the level of grant depends on the list price of the EV. You see, sub 40k will get the full $5,000. 40k to 50k will get you half. Above 50k you get diddly. There aren't many EVs less than 50k on the price list. Whoa, that's counterproductive, really, isn't it? That's driving the market into cars that are under 40k. I mean, what cars are under 40k? Is there any of them actually? Well, no, I suppose Zoe would be. That Honda E was just creeping in under it, but like they're still at the top end of that $40,000. Like, that's serious money. That's an awful pain in the hole. But making it complicated always puts people off anyway. Immediately, it just puts people off. And dealerships are selling what they understand, which is a car that stands in front of them, they can sell and it's gone. They don't have to think about charging it, grants, form filling, all the stuff that dealerships have been asked to do these days is quite difficult. Keith Geary, just listening to your chats about timing belts got me thinking. I have an '08 BMW 520Ds for the life timing chain. Does the water pump ever have to be done on that without taking the engine out? 520D from '08. No, it's behind the timing chain. You should be able to get at that water pump right in the time. You take the timing chain out and it's connected to the water pump, which is right there. It should come up with it. I don't think you take the engine out of an '08 unless it really fills the engine bay. You don't have to change the timing chain unless you can hear it, like a ghost rattling chains. When you can hear it running, just stand beside it and listen to it. If you hear a chain sound, it's time to change the time chain. That's the only time. Usually they last forever, but sometimes they get a bit loose, and once they get a bit loose, just get over it. But if you're changing a timing chain, the water pump comes out as well. I don't think you take the engine out of that. I don't remember ever hearing someone take the engine out to do a timing chain. Mark O'Reilly, but VRT goes from 14 to 7% for EVs. Yeah, it does, but why then has some, depending on what the VRT is. So VRT is not placed on a car, it's placed on things on the car. So that's why the ID3 at the top end of the scale has gone up in price, not down, because there's different options on it. So it's kind of counterproductive in a way. They've made some EVs go up in price by lowering the VRT, which is kind of weird. But what do you think of Ireland going nuclear? I'd love it, David Breen, because that would solve all our problems. We could stick a nuclear power station out into the bleeding ocean off the west coast somewhere where no one's going to see it anyway, and feed us all the electricity we want. We could do it on land. It's insanely safe. It just got a bad reputation from Chernobyl, from the Japanese incident as well. But they were older technology stuff. We've never really had anything else like that, even remotely like that, anywhere else in the world. So, and we're in a very stable place. We don't get earthquakes here. We don't get any of that. We don't get tremors here. We get nothing. So it'd be ideal for us to do something like that instead of peat fire, to just go nuclear and have done with it. I'd be okay with that. Matthew Dunn, 2019 Nissan Qashqai SVE Auto 1.3 DGT or 2019 Hyundai Tucson facelift 1.6 petrol. You're going from GT Premium. Of which one's the best? I would go with the Tucson. It's a nicer car. The 2019 Qashqai currently looks old. I don't know why people still buy it. It looks kind of aged. It hasn't aged very well. It's not a bad car. It's reliable and will always be worth money. But Hyundai Tucson has a 5-year unlimited warranty as well, which goes against it. It's a nicer looking car. Mark O'Reilly says, anyone out there got experience living close to a wind farm? Local board in Mona converting with 200 metre turbines. Closest one to my house is 1200 metres. Anyone experienced them close by? I haven't lived by them, but I've gone very near the ones here in Ireland when they're operating at full tilt, and I've gone very near ones that are in like Amsterdam or Holland, and I've seen ones in Croatia and Germany where you can actually drive up them right beside you. You can take a picture by them. I've done selfies with them right underneath the fans, and I literally couldn't hear them even though they were spinning. I really couldn't hear a whole lot. But that might be different from living with them. So if you're living now, I know there's a woman here in is she in Westmeath or Offaly or something? She did a few radio shows where she was being kept awake at night because you could hear the vibration through her walls. The vibration of this blade going around was actually making the whole ground vibrate around, which is causing the vibration through her walls. So it is possible to definitely hear them, but I've never noticed them. Standing right beside one looking at the thing spinning, I've never noticed it. But if you have, get in touch. I want to know. I actually would like to know that. Annie McPhee. That's the bit that concerned me with mechanical sympathy. You're running EV only a while when you're on a motorway and boom, stone cold engine suddenly fired up and instantly pushed to whatever RPM. Well, you're supposed to kind of start up an engine, give it a chance before you go straight out the motorway and go up to full speed. Like, it's scary. Ocean Froggy says budget seems to be using a stick rather than incentives to affect EV transition. But that's the trick. We're trying to force it really quickly. But if you imagine a huge tanker ship, you know those great big tanker ships that are carrying tons and tons and tons of stuff on them, and you ask it to turn left. Just turn, immediate stop and turn left. That's essentially what the EV people are trying to do, and the evangelists and the people jumping in. They're all trying to make this left turn, and it takes a long time for that boat to slow down to come around. And that's essentially what we need to do, is just relax a minute. The natural transition of the market is 6 years. And what I mean by that is that from designing a car to its manufacture is about 6 years, and in that 6 years people change the cars at 3-year intervals, right? So every 3 to 4 years their PCP will come up for renewal, they'll change their car and the car is gone, and their next step is to buy an EV. So if you think in the next 6 years we're going to see a bigger transition to EV, that's true. That's definitely going to happen. But if we continue to try and use a stick to go just drive EVs, then people feel that they're forced into it and they don't want to do it. And then it's harder to get them to talk about it and get them to understand it. So we need to gently push that conversation with people about EV rather than trying to drive it on their neck every single chance you get. You know, it's that slow and easy, and we'll get there. People are quite slow about moving. Peat power stations are dead, says Joseph Milani. They're offline. Good, that's good. Did you ever drive by them? You can drive on the M8. Is the M8 the one down to Galway? You can actually drive by. You can see it out the window. Cormac Hickey, Golf GTD or Ford ST TDCi thoughts? What do you want to know about it? Which one's better to drive? The Golf. Which one's Got better fuel economy, probably the Golf as well. More interesting car, Focus ST would be better. But the engines, well, one's a common rail diesel and the other one's a turbo diesel, so they're different engine types. Common rail is probably a little bit more reliable over time. Turbochargers probably not quite as reliable, but more fun. Rami says W202. Is that the Mercedes W202 you're talking about? I don't know what you're asking though, is the problem. David Breen, Cormac, you should buy a Golf GTE plug-in hybrid. Yeah, it is a plug-in. I know plug-in hybrid. Diesel torque and MPG essential. This is Cormac. Diesel torque would be best from the Golf GTD. MPG would be best from the TDCi. Depends which one more important to you. Mark Turner Smith, I do too, Bob. Tuesday Tune Up, good title. Yeah, no, we could put one every day. Monday Madness, Tuesday Tune Up, Wednesday Want, Thursday something else. David Breen, GTE has a 1.4 TSI hybrid, so great MPG at 200 brake horsepower. True. David Breen, go for GTI used. That's good advice. I like a used GTI. I particularly like the Mark 7 GTI. It's a gorgeous car. Lovely, really looks good, really sits well on the wheel arches now. It's a really good looking car. Peter says, hi Bob, VW DSG are very good if you service them on time. They are. David Breen, he's looking at diesel, so I'm assuming he's doing good mileage and the GTI would drink petrol. It does, in fairness, it does at higher RPMs, it does, but it's still a great drive though. Michael Callan says, David Breen, the Passat diesel is nice, 150 horsepower. Andy McAfee, whatever happened to LPG cars? Conversion used to be popular in older gas guzzlers, but you'd struggle to find a filling station to buy it now. Seems the amount of good cars lost from this. It was the conversion price. The price of conversion started to become expensive and people just stopped doing it as it was home users. And then they legislated about converting, and between all that it just kind of killed the market for it. And then people started to remove the LPG tanks from the fuel stations. So then once the fuel disappeared, the conversions thing started disappearing. We're going back. We're starting to make LPG from biomass now, which is, and we're doing this with diesel as well. By the way, this is also happening where we can create diesel from gases. Essentially, we're creating by biodigestion. We're creating fuel for our cars, so we won't have to do any fossil. It won't be called fossil fuels. We just made and bleeding a chemist. We're going full cycle because that's where the first petrol distribution system in the entire world was, in Germany, and it was through the chemists. You could buy petroleum in a bottle, like a proper bottle, and bring it outside and put it in your car. Can you imagine doing that today? Going to get a bottle of petrol there. Well, yeah. You make sure you're not drinking it. No, I'm not drinking it. No, it's for the car. You stick it in, it'd be good crack, wouldn't it? Somebody would have a heart attack though. Don't forget to support the channel if you can. Please hit the subscribe button. It's the free way to support the channel, 100% free for everyone. But if you want to support it properly, there's a number of links down below that gets you discount off NOAA, which is News Over Audio. If you want, you can get a 50% discount there. You can open a Coinbase account. You get a free tenner for that one, and that costs you nothing at all. I get a tenner out of that as well, so we both make money. You can support the channel straight away by PayPal or Patreon or Super Chats, or whatever way you want is great, but at least hit the subscribe button. That's the important one, because you want to push the subscribers up to 60,000 before Christmas. That's my target. I was targeting maybe, I don't know, 55,000 by Christmas, but it's rising so quick now. I'm just gonna go at 60, see what happens. Where was I? What's your gamer name to add? Butcher is my name too. Is it really? Or I'll find you. I'll fire it up in a minute. We'll have a look. Battle.net. Is that what you call it? I'll fire it up and find out what my username is. It's Farside with a number behind it, but I can't remember what that number is now off the top of my head. Farside 21230 is my username on Blizzard. That's on the Warzone thing. And you find me there, and I'll be on later on probably this evening messing around. Shane Carlos, Bob, what with the new budget, will it still be cheaper to buy in the UK, as I'm hoping to buy a 26 Jaguar XE? No, will not. The NOx tax will drive that straight out of your head. Without a shadow of a doubt. It'll be the NOx tax that'll kill you off that one. If it's a diesel you're after, 2016 should be okay because NOx wasn't exactly high in that in the first place. It's the older NOx cars that are really getting murdered. Anything like 2010, 2011 and around there, they're the ones that are going to get killed. But on 2016 it should be okay. It's still not cheaper. When I say cheaper, depends on the exchange rate, it depends on NOx, it depends on emissions, it depends on the mood of the VRT system, as we've seen earlier on with our Audi TT. So it depends on all those things. But there is a VRT calculator already online, but not a NOx tax one as far as I can see. Ocean Fergus says, how about an airsoft game meet up? Petrol versus diesel teams, ICE or EVs? I like that. I'd have to be on both sides though. David Breen, I love the channel and the TikTok, Bob. What's your opinion on Suzuki Swift Sport previous generation 1.6 VVTi? That's a good car. That was a better car than the current model, if I'm honest. I think the current model is a little bit, the fuel tank's really small and it just feels really small. I just feel kind of claustrophobically small. So the older one is a better one by far. It's a VVTi engine, variable transmission as well, which is a lovely little car to drive. You'll get many happy days driving out of that. Anyway, faces Kitty Bags, just question mark out of nowhere, just like that. So he's not. See, he didn't even tag me in the question. What's going on there? Stephen Hardy, why have we seen so many used 520 diesel BMWs around? Presume UK imports. Never heard BMWs had great reliability outside warranty. Can't speak today. BMWs are highly desirable. People have seen them as a luxury executive car, when in actual fact there's probably more 520s on the road than there is Mondeos. You know, it's the way it is right now, because so many people imported those cars because they look cheap in the UK, as fleets of them were sold in the UK to service the middle executive market. You know, a lot of people bought those kind of cars there, and then they became very cheap. Now all of a sudden people are just bringing them in all over the place. So it was a decision, and a lot of people imported them. A lot of dealers imported them in this country as well, and a lot of people bought them here. So all of a sudden you pull into Tesco's car park, and well, lo and behold, you're surrounded by BMW 520s everywhere. Lovely car, just about as... Oh, yeah, thank you. Oh, what's this? A frothy coffee. The wife has brought me a frothy coffee today. We got 20 minutes left, yep, we're alright. Frothy coffee though. What's in it now? I'm afraid, in case there's alcohol. Oh, it's not Christmas yet, but there's cream in that, boys. We're good. No whiskey in it though, mind you. I love an Irish coffee. A good Irish coffee. Nothing like a good Irish coffee on a cold day. It's not cold enough for one yet though, mind you. Sirgu Dan says, regarding mass EV adoption, what do you think about Dacia Spring in my country, Romania? It would cost around €8,000. Jeez, is that all? €8,000 with all the government subsidies. Really interesting to look at what Dacia is trying to do, which is take old Zoe bits, old electric bits from Renault, and use them in an affordable EV. And like, I find it very hard to dismiss Dacia Sandero as a cheap car. I actually think it's a really good value car. I think it's very hard to dismiss that sort of car and go, look, it's just a cheap yoke. But actually, if you're in a 10-year-old car, if you're in a 15-year-old car like me, and you get out of that into a Dacia Sandero or what's the other one called, a Duster or something, it's actually really hard to go, well, this is not a good buy. It is actually a good buy. So if Dacia was to manage to bring out something like Dacia Spring and bring it in here, of course, Ireland, it's going to be 15,000 here by the time it reaches this country. God love us, we can't just go at the same price as anyone else. But if we could get a really mass-produced, reasonably priced, long-driven car, I hate the idea of recycling a car every 6 years or 8 years, so it has to be dumped. But if we could get something that we keep on the road, it'd be an interesting prospect. Look at the like Hondas that are out there from yesteryear. Don't even make them anymore, and they're hybrid yokes, 10 years old, and the battery's still fine in them. It can be done. It can definitely be done. Honda over manufacture everything. But yeah, I was in Romania, lovely country. I love the fact you're driving on a main highway, but beside the highway there's a woman with a donkey and a trailer walking along, and that's normal life. You're on this really high class highway, but right beside it, normal life happens as well. Stephen Doherty, so when you're stopped, the radiator is getting no air cooling. Yeah, it has a fan on the front that runs it, but yeah, when you're stopped and parked, it's the fan doing all the work. That's why the fan comes on and goes off, comes on and goes off. They're getting better at the fans. Some cars have 2 fans or 3 fans, but other ones don't. What do you think of the new Hyundai Tucson? I haven't driven it, Niall. Hyundai is a little bit odd in this country, can be very strange unless you know the press car is on, you ring them and go, can I get a Hyundai? Are you sure you want a Hyundai? Yeah, I just want a car. But other people will ring up and give it out to them. It can be strange. So I haven't driven a new one. I'll probably go to a dealership and drive that one, to be honest with you. I don't have time. I have no dates left in the year. Nothing. I'm booked up till next February with test cars now. I just don't have any more dates. The only time I haven't got a press car booked in for is actually Christmas. Is like the 2 weeks over the Christmas period. but I don't know what I'm going to put in that place. Stephen Doherty says, revenue presumed 2015 TT, not 2005. I think they Googled current used car prices for TT convertibles here. God love us. GTE is being discontinued. ID3 is answer. Yeah, I know. And they're getting rid of e-golf as well, is gone. So all that's gone. All that's finished now, which is kind of weird. Mark Daly says, Hunters on Amazon Prime was brilliant, but all I watched it. That's the same as me. I watched the James May in Japan, I think it was called, which was mildly entertaining some of the time, not all the time. And other ones would like, we looked around at some other series we saw. There was a movie we watched as well with this. They went up to Holland or somewhere, and it was a murder, creepy movie, but it was like a waste of 2 hours of my time. What's your username in Warzone? I get that already, did I? Farside, hashtag 21230, and I'm on the European servers. I'll play after. I might play for a little bit after this, actually. Michael Callanan is The Shining on Netflix. Is that The Shining? The Shining, like the Shining film, which was brilliant. I love that. God, that coffee's lovely. In fairness, says Stephen Doherty, 100 million of the carbon tax is going on retrofitting old houses, mostly dire council houses with near zero insulation. I know, but the problem, I don't mind how they're using the carbon tax. The problem is the carbon tax is the way that they can tax people so they can use more carbon, if you follow what I mean. We should be trying to push carbon use down. It's like carbon points, and Tesla paying, or Alfa Romeo paying Tesla for giving them their carbon. It's just this way of moving money, fictitious money around without actually doing anything good for the environment. That's the only problem I have with it. Imagine Donegal with good roads. It'd be a cool car if you launched. Wouldn't it be just fantastic? Geez, there's some roads up in Donegal that you're flying along, you turn a corner and go, what, this is Ireland? This is actually still Ireland. I mean, this is not some foreign land. I'm actually still in my own country. And you're driving around and you think it feels every bit remote and wild and untamed part of the country. It's an amazing bit of the country. I love it. I got to go back up there. Andy McAfee says LGV, large goods vehicle, the term replaced HGV 28 years ago. Did it? Alright, okay. I know nothing about trucks or tractors, which I often get regular comments on TikTok going, what do you know about tractors? What's your favourite tractor? Oh God, but there's a Massey Ferguson dealer here in the town, Condell and Ryan. That's the only one. Oh, is that Condell and Ryan? Is one of them. That's the only one that I see tractors in, so I know nothing about them. Sean Morris says, hi Bob, you seem very, very impressed with the Honda E. I was, yeah. Now, yeah, there's a lot going on in the video, and I know I spent a good bit of time looking at those review cameras, but I think that's where we're going with cameras and technology and stuff and slipstreaming. But I can't imagine anything lighter than a mirror, to be honest with you. I can't imagine a camera being lighter than a mirror, but it probably is. So it looks like a good car, but we'll see after I've kind of spent a few days driving around in it, whether the range thing becomes an issue in your mind. If that becomes an issue, that's going to be the downside of it, is that, like, what I love about Tesla and Hyundai and Kia and stuff is you get in and it's just drive, and you don't really think so much about the fuel, and you run the battery down to 2%, and then you plug it in, charge up, and you go and lie down and have a sleep, and it's fine, you know. But with something very short range, you end up having to chase electricity. You're chasing it all the time. Bob, I've been looking at a Ford Mondeo ST220. That's a good car. 3-litre V6 petrol for £900. Oh my God. With 155,000 miles of the car. 3-litre will survive very high mileage, no problem. It's a big engine, they don't mind big miles. But if that deal looks too good to be true, which that's not very much money for a lot of car, you would want to really do a big inspection on that car. You want to make sure it's never been crashed, that the chassis straight, it hasn't been towing things. They'll all be driven hard because that's the kind of car it is. It's one of those cars that gets bought by enthusiasts, so it's going to be driven hard at some point. You know, look for problems with the braking system or the tires or suspension, that sort of stuff that would be under pressure a lot. Fabulous car, Ryan. If you can get a hold of that, buy it. I would buy it and collect it, no problem. But then I'd have the time. Well, I wouldn't have the time, but I'd certainly have the patience to repair something like that. Alan Acaster, the battery production for vehicle comes from around 3 suppliers. That's why the cost of hybrid BEV is so high. Yep, that's pretty much it. And I know the Chinese are trying to get into the battery production system. And I also know that the Chinese are currently producing a lot of electric cars, as they're pushing in their country people into electric cars as well. and they're after buying shares in various companies. This is the problem: is the battery companies that are making batteries have sold shares, and like Volkswagen has a chairman or on the board of every battery manufacturer in the world. So Volkswagen get paid for everybody who buys batteries. Isn't that wild to think of that sort of stuff? But that's the kind of thing that's going on all the time. Aidan McLaughlin, what's your opinion on self-charging hybrids like Toyota? These ads have been banned in other countries because they're not exactly self-charging. It's a bad marketing phrase, really. I know what they mean, and we all know what they mean, which means you don't have to plug it in. And I often wonder what you would call it if you don't call it a self-charging hybrid. You just call it a hybrid. But that doesn't really explain it, because we have these mild hybrids now, which make no sense. When you start looking at mild hybrid, and you go, well, does it run the lights? Yeah, sometimes. Does it run the engine? No, it's not connected to the engine. And then other ones are mild hybrids, and they are connected to the engine. So there's this distinction of words that make sense and some that don't make sense. And I know what Toyota was asked. They were trying to make an easy phrase, easy marketing phrase, self-charging hybrids. But yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense when you start looking at how the car is actually powered, that it's charged the same as any other EV. It's charged by deceleration, or it's charged by the engine, and it's putting out stuff. So, but there's no plug-in bit of it. So we just need another version of PHEV. That's essentially what we're after there. Stephen Doherty, we're all paying here for no VRT for rational insurance premiums. A cult, but for car fans. I know VRT, they keep changing it, but VRT is murderous on the car industry, and it's actually going to close dealerships in this country, and they don't see it coming because they don't really put much emphasis on VRT. They see it as a protectionist system that stops us going over to UK to buy cars. But really, if we really tried hard, we could easily compete with the UK on their cars. We could stop protecting the car industry here and actually compete and make more money. We would make more money. And I know the government would lose money, but actually they'd make it back in sales. They'd make it back by other tax means. The problem is VRT was set up to stop us importing cars, when actually it allowed us to import more cars. So they put in a NOx tax to try and stop us importing more cars. And so what we'll do eventually is we'll just find cars that have no NOx. We'll start importing electric cars, which won't attract any NOx tax. So we've done ourselves out of it again. Instead of working hard to make the system work, we've made it more complicated, and it's not going to stop it. Peter Ucar says, hi Bob, did you see the new Dacia Spring EV? 15 grand. 15 grand, there's only 8 grand in Romania. Not sure if it's coming to UK or Ireland. It will be. Look what MG is trying to do. They're trying to get into the country as well. They're trying to bring in more. That's MG from China now. They're buying up those cars. So you find, I guarantee within the next 2 years, Saab will return as an electric car maker. I bet you it will. I bet you, because the Chinese company bought the brand Saab and did nothing with it. And essentially it sits between, it's sort of a tax relief, but it's a way back into the European market for a Chinese brand to bring out stuff. You watch and see now. See, Tata's doing interesting stuff as well in their home country. They own European brands. I'd like to see that Dacia Spring actually. I'd like to have a drive of it. See, is it as bad as I think it's going to be, considering the price of it? It must be terrible to drive, but I'm sure it's very efficient. Anyway, he says VAG Dieselgate emissions recall initially caused the lowest of issues like detune and EGR failure, expensive and denied fixing it. There have been several different versions of the fix to date. Yeah, that's true. Not the initial versions were bad in any way. VAG, it's essentially just a remap, which it was, well, yeah, but it did detune some of the cars a little bit, and other ones there was various versions, but there was various versions of the sheet as well. It was actually a device at one point from Bosch, but there was also a software tweak that was done to the cars. So it happens. Michael Callanan, do I need to use my profile name to use FIFA 21 online? I have no idea. William Neal, thinking of buying it pre-2000. I take it as pre-2008, not 2028, because are you buying in the future? William, Audi A1 1.2 petrol, reliability problems. Looked at a few 2012 models, very rusted at rear round suspension, and the problem is how they're stored. So you get a lot of rust on brake discs and pads and things. It's quite normal to see rust on cars that are standing still for a while, but you shouldn't see any rust around the suspension system. That's really bad, because suspension system is under pressure. So where the shock absorber and shocks and springs and things are all connected to the car, the bushings in there should be rubber. If there's any sign of rust in there, you could get what's called ovaling. So the hole that is all connected, the bolts that are going in, actually ovals out that hole and starts to move around, and that gets really expensive really fast. So if you see rust up underneath your suspension system, that could be a big problem in the future. Not immediately, but definitely could be massive in the future for a car, and could end up costing, like, it could be a write-off stuff when that starts to happen, particularly if it's on one side, not the other, and all this sort of stuff. So it depends on how it's stored. Salt has an effect on that during winter time as well. You should always wash your car regularly, or at least hose it down after being driving on salted roads for a while, because it eats away at the metal. Andy McPhee says, used to be the other way around. Folk from the UK flocking to the Republic of Ireland to get new cars. Northern Ireland was 75% Opel versus Vauxhall in early 2000s. I'm not surprised, yeah. The other way around now. I saw an ad the other day which popped up on my feed somewhere. I can't remember whether it was on TikTok or somewhere. Anyway, this ad popped up, and it was a dealer, I think he's in Newry. Anyway, he was saying, and it was specifically for Republic of Ireland customers, he was telling them that they could come up to Northern Ireland, that his prices included VRT and included all the taxes and charges and stuff, and if they came up on the train, he'd collect them from the station and bring them out and show them the car, and they could drive it straight home. Like, this guy had it nailed. Just nailed. I can't remember what the name of the dealer was. Very good ad for a dealership, and you can see how they're attracting people across, because the price you see, you're not worried about the VRT because it's already included in the price of the car, so it's already there. He has it worked out for you. Very clever. But if that's the kind of advertising going on right now, I wouldn't like to be in the sales staff of a normal dealership today. Plus, people are very angry all the time about everything these days, so to perpetually upset people that are out there, are ready to attack you the minute there's a bang or a noise or something out of your car. I'd say the phone never stops ringing, or people complaining. That's lovely. I'd love a little bit of whiskey, and that'd be really nice. I'm not driving today, so I really don't care. Stephen Doherty, Alan Renault offered a battery upgrade for the older Zoe. A DIY job would be expensive, unless you can access crash newer models and batteries like precious metals in cat exhaust. Richard O'Brien, SEA grant remains. It's the VRT rebate has been phased out. 5,000 on a sub 40 grand car and 2.5 grand on 40. Yeah, well, it's going down or going up depending on which way you're looking at it. But I can't imagine the SEAI grant lasting forever either. I just can't. Why are we paying €5,000 for someone to buy a car? It just doesn't make any sense. Ecologically, it doesn't make sense either. We're building something new to make a car all the time, so it's you're kind of robbing one to pay the other. Why don't just force the car companies to make the cars cheaper? That's what we really need to do. Is demand needs to outstrip supply, and we don't need to be granting them all the time to be doing that. Just scroll forward there. Sorry. Michael says, thanks to get us. Or my neighbour will get her new black Ford Focus again, with all respect. Yeah. Alan says, have you seen that Ford have stopped producing diesel engines? Fiestas and Renaults, with the exception of the Megans, are stopping all diesel production. Slow death to diesel, I'm afraid. It's very slow. Yeah. The marketing around how bad diesel is for the environment has been savage, and they've done an incredible job at doing this. But when you look at it on paper and actual figures, petrol engines emit more CO2 than diesels. Just saying. Like, diesels are very, very, very efficient compared to petrols. Petrols are kind of weird. Now, if we're going to go all electric, that's fine. If that's the way they want to go, that's the way they want to go. But this is there's things that can't be done with petrol and diesel. But there's a lot of diesel out there that was sold to people that they should have never bought a diesel. There's a lot of old people driving around in a diesel and they do like 5 kilometers a week in this diesel car. But because it's cheaper at the pumps, this is the problem. Diesel's cheaper at the pumps. Businesses can reclaim the VAT off diesel when they want to as well. That's the other part of that. Is we continue to incentivize diesel, and that was a European decision. Sorry, he's late. Mick Daly's late. Where was your note? Where's the note? I want a note. So email me a note. bobflav@thenextgear.com. Email me now. David Breen. It worked out well for France. If they were to do similar, it would solve a lot of problems. What would? Missed that. Brian Cullen, nuclear, insanely safe, Bob. It is safe. How many nuclear accidents have you had? Think about it. We've had nuclear plants all around us for years and years and years, and we've had 2. We've had Chernobyl, which was the fault, a human error fault, on ancient technology that they were running there. And then we had Fukushima more recently, which was built on a fault line and got swamped. And they've cleaned it up and they're fixing it up, and it seems to be all getting back to normal for them. So it's safe when it's done properly. When it's built properly, it's safe. We have multiple nuclear plants all across the world, and we never have any trouble with them. So I can't imagine we'd have any problems with them. And they're clean, essentially, as well. And these days, they are anyway. They don't have much offset from them. Stephen Doherty, death of small diesels, at least. We always a bit dumb to run tiny diesel engines super money. Totally stupid, obviously. But like fuel economy, people are always after fuel economy. And diesels seem to be very economical and cheaper to buy at the pumps. And lower tax and lower CO2, because they are lower CO2 and always have been, even with cheats and things. That wasn't a cheat on CO2, that was a cheat on NOx, different thing. But if CO2 is still the thing that everybody's going mental about, CO2, diesels are less CO2 than petrol. John McGarvey says, rang 4 separate times with VRT to check details were correct with 2005 Audi TT. They insisted 14,206. They just googled your car and just come up with a number like, sure, that one, do that one there, that'll do. That's essentially what happened, I bet you. Stephen Doherty says, oh wait, no, I missed one there. H2O Dino says, you could see a 2008 Mitsubishi Lancer and a 2018 Lancer beside each other, and the differences would be tiny. What's the reason for this? Mitsubishi just lazy. No money. That's essentially ran out of money for design. Every car company runs on nostalgia. Nostalgia is king, which is why we have a Ford Puma now, which looks nothing at all like the Ford Puma that came out originally, we all remember, but nostalgia puts it in time, gives it that moment in time. So Mitsubishi tried to continue making the Lancer look like the Lancer throughout time, and in doing so actually made it look exactly the same as the old Lancer, because they wanted to reuse some of the parts, because it's much cheaper to continue using the doors, like Volkswagen has done more recently as well with Golf 8 and all. They've reused the doors and the things off the Golf 7, so it's much cheaper to make the car, but the car price doesn't go down for some reason, even though they say it's cheaper. Stephen Donnelly says Eamon might be in a listed house, so planning permission needed. Oh, right, okay. Oh, he's one of them. Oh, right. I won't mention the war. Crazy Dog says, my dearest father is intrigued to understand the process of buying and running an EV. He's especially curious about the charger. The charger is probably the easiest bit. In fairness, you just get in touch with the charger installer. Or you can do it through the dealership. Some Opel is doing an offer currently where they'll supply the charger to home. I think Volkswagen are running that same sort of offer as well, to supply the charger in to you. So when you're buying the car, you can buy the charger in the dealership as well, and it gets installed. The guys come out and install it for you. The charger bit is relatively straightforward. Just have to find a place to put it on the house, whether you want it outside or in a garage or around the back, somewhere that's accessible by the car. You can leave the car parked. No one's going to trip over things. But the car itself is the very same as driving any other car on the road, except for the fact that people just, for the first couple of weeks, you focus on, I've only 3/4 of a tank of electricity, I better charge it up. That's what happens next. After a while, then you settle into driving till the battery's down to 1% full, and then you plug it in and charge up. It takes a bit of planning to do long driving, to long distance drive. That's the planning bit can put people off. And it puts me off at times as well, where you kind of go, well, I want to go to Galway the weekend, see the family. Right, is there a charge point the other end? Is there a fast charge between me and there? There's stuff that you have to get over time. Land Cruiser or Defender? Land Cruiser. Keen, because Defender's good, but Land Cruiser was invincible. Essentially invincible. Depending on the year you're talking about. If you're talking about a new Defender, that's not really a Defender. That's like it's brilliant, but it's not a Defender. Hunter Ray says, hi Bob, I was looking for insurance quotes. Can I ask any random car like a Fabia VRS 1.9 diesel, or need to know the plate details of the car? Cheers, looking when it turns 17. You generally need to give them a license plate off the car that you're looking for. So if you're looking for the car, you can always ask. Like, there's no harm in ringing up and just asking them and go, listen, I'm looking for a fictitious quote. See if I could even get quotes on this. Can I give you the details of a car, but I don't actually know the license plate? So you could do that as well. Yeah, some of them will. A lot of them won't. A lot of them want you to fill in the license plate. Don't do that online. Online, no license plate, you're not going to get a quote. You may do it over the phone, but it's worth checking out. Raymond Grace, Bob, does Renault Laguna give much trouble? Depends on what year, Raymond. Laguna was a car that was driven by people very long distance. It's a great car, really comfortable. Engine won't give much trouble. Renault engines are actually pretty good. Electrics can be a problem, and that really can be a big problem, because finding out what's gone wrong when you press the brake pedal and the reverse lights come on, there's the problem. Some wire has crossed someone on the way just to find the bloody wire. That's the biggest problem. But they don't really give much trouble. No, there's not many of them left, so a lot of them rusted into pieces and got driven so hard they've just scrapped after a while. So not many Lagunas out there. Stephen Doherty says, remember, UK buyers pay a higher benefit and kind tax on dirty cars. They pay a congestion charge to get into London and Oxford. Grants for anything but pure electric are now gone, and the fuel taxes are high. Yeah, no, they really want to kill you, the car life. And the UK, I suppose, would be the last vestige of serious car people out there, like real car people. Like nearly all the magazines in Europe are manufactured in England at some point. There's only a handful of other car magazines out there. Everyone else just wants to get around. The Germans will be next as car nuts go, and then the Polish actually are quite car nutty as well. They like their executive cars. Anyway, faces Killybegs was referenced to you're trying to remember where the coast in Donegal used to stay. No, it wasn't Killybegs. It was up that way. Killy something, yeah. Maybe it was just called Killy. I can't remember. There was ferries in there. It was really good. It'll come back to me eventually. I'm one of those people, I could Google it, but I won't. I could literally Google this now, but I try my best to try and remember. It's like trying to keep your brain active on things, you know. Mark Turner Smith, some vehicles like our 2010 Seat Leon 1.4 TSI have timing chain, other timing chain to drive oil pumps. Got a chain, the timing belt kit, and 2 chains, loads of bits. Really? Don't touch the water pump on that for timing, as it runs off auxiliary belt like BMW. Same. There you are. There's a good advice with your BMW. Shot forward there again. Oh, Robert Cooney's Murray says, hi Bob, what do you think of a 2007 petrol manual Ford Focus Saloon as a field car? Field car? Really? You just want to drive on the field and crash into things? That was right. I'd love to do it though, mind you. Yeah, it'd be fine. Just do field cars. Just don't buy something that you can turn over. When you pull a handbrake, like a Nissan Micra, a lot of guys buy a Nissan Micra. The 99 Micra will fall onto its side when you pull a handbrake. It's no fun because you'll break it, and that's all that happens. I'm not really keen on the field car yokes because it really does. It's great for learning to drive, but they tend to be battered up and wrecked and then just left to die. It's awful cruel on the cars. Stephen Hardy, nobody building nuclear bar, the Chinese and the Russians, massively over budget. Japanese builder gave up on UK one, even with a massive subsidy for decades. New designs coming soon. They're always the same. New designs coming everywhere. Hi Bob, just joking, the end of the live show, but we'll watch from the start on my trip to Aldi for the weekly shop now. Hope I was good. Bought a decent remote control car for myself in the middle, lad. Good lad. It's the way to have it. Remote control cars are fun, aren't they? We used to do them downstairs. The kids used to do handbrake turns in a BMW i8. My worst part is going into a toy shop and you look up at the cars on the remote control car things and go, I drove that. It's funny. Look for TV show Manhattan on Amazon Prime. Highly recommend it. There's one. Clover video. Hi Bob, if you choose 2 cars to compare the new Seat Leon and the old one, which 2 cars would you choose to make a show about? Thanks. Make a show about? If there's to choose 2 cars to compare the new Seat Leon and the old one, which 2 cars should you make a show about? Don't know. I can't even think of what that means. Jared Hewitt says, to build as we head to the next lockdown, it's a 1/10 scale Mazda MX-5. Will share the journey as a progress. Good man. Shout out to Mark's Models in Rathcoole. I know Mark's Models. Good place that, actually. Great place to go to. Annie McPhee, China has been mass producing EVs domestically for a heck of a lot longer than the rest of the world, to be honest, but sub-brand MG is the beginning of dipping their toe in the EU market. It's the beginning. It'll be a flood very fast. That's what the Chinese do. So you look at Xiaomi or any of those Chinese phone brands, what they do is they bring out 60 phones a year. They just flood the market with them. There's so many of them you can't avoid them. And now you see them in shops everywhere. They're in 3 stores and all kinds of places. So they just flood the market, and there's enough of them on the market that you just can't miss it, and the brand becomes normal. They'll do the same with electric cars. They'll do the very same. They'll appear, they'll call it Brilliance, or they'll call it Dongfeng Motors, or whatever they call it, some Chinese name, and then they'll find a European name that works well, and boom, away they go. And they'll just flood the market with really cheap stuff until the market is done. Is there a self-charging hybrid Golf? The Corolla is the best hybrid to get. The hybrid systems, Toyota's been doing it the longest, and so they're probably the most reliable ones. Now there is PHEV Golfs, but no hybrid Golfs. Not just straight up hybrid Golfs. The Sono was supposed to make it a Saab factory. I would love to see the Saab back in electric. Yeah, it'd be some crack, wouldn't it? Only if Saab was able to make Saabs as good as Saab used to make, always make Saabs. That's a mouthful. Yes, good films for Halloween on. Thanks, Bobby. Yeah, it's good, isn't it? Just about every car dealers and traders in Northern Ireland wide directly target ROI customers with a range all on the train, bus, station pickups. Crazy, isn't it? Tony, yes, Bob, can you reset or remap easily back to the original engine settings before setting on the Ford Fiesta? Yeah, you can, yeah. The original settings are stored on the chip in a hard sense, so they don't change. That's how insurance assessors and car companies and dealerships can actually find out your car is remapped without driving it. They can just plug it in and it shows up because it shows the original BIOS settings. So you literally just need to clear the remap out. It's the same laptop system. You plug in a laptop and just clear the remap out and it just resets the system back the way it was. So yes, you can. It should be free in actual fact. If you paid for the remap originally, it should actually be free to reset it. Anyway, when I got my A4 a couple of years ago at Main Dealers, he mentioned it was off the Belfast Central Connected guy from Kerry, the exact same model car I had. There you go. You see that they all do it. Zach says, "Hi Bob, what do you think of the 2015 Clio RS? All the RS are awesome cars, all of them, including Clio. Brilliant cars to drive. They really did a great job. RS used to be a separate factory from Renault, so it was a different system, and they make great cars." Stephen Doherty says, Honda E looks cool but expensive and small, like a BMW i3. Nice car, but you could get a Model 3 for the same price. They don't believe in it really. They don't believe in it really. Yeah, well, that's true. You see, it's the investment money that's coming in. Steve McCormick says, car makers are guilty of terrible herd mentality, watching each other without fresh idea. That's happened since the dawn of time. Since the dawn of car companies. Since Ford started making cars, that's the way it's been. The minute Ford started mass producing, ideas started falling off a cliff. And by the 60s, we had essentially done everything. There was active cruise control on cars in the 70s. You could buy it as an option on Mercedes one time. It was a different system. It was a radar system, not LiDAR, none of that stuff. Electric windows and power tailgates on it. That was all on the 50s cars. All the 50s, 40s, 50s American cars had power tailgates. Self-parking systems were in there as well. There was all kinds of stuff. It was all invented, and we're just continuing on the tradition of not inventing anything. We're just calling it something else. In my view, hybrids are a dead end. I think they will come to a dead end. Even Toyota's admitting that now. They're starting to put out full electric cars. So I think it will eventually get that direction. But I do think that in certain circumstances, there's a good reason to hold on to a petrol version or a diesel version of a car. Particularly for a commercial sense, where it makes at the moment, because batteries are just so heavy, it makes no sense to have electric for absolutely everything. And then there's some people out there who just don't like the idea of driving an electric car, and that's kind of it. Ocean Vargas says, hi Bob, never sat charging a car in public in case friendly men with beards come and talk bits, bites and mobs. I know, it's crazy, isn't it? You can, of course, if you charge at home all the time, you can get away with charging at home all the time. There's some people who like charging in the street or like the conversations. Like every test I do, the ID3 I had, I start to review at a charge point here in Portlaoise. That took 20 minutes to get that started because people just kept coming up and asking questions in the middle of it. So it's difficult sometimes when you're trying to do something at a charge point, but you still need the charge points. They still have to be there, just as a reassurance factor even. But it's still, the economy of a charge point doesn't make any sense at the moment. Ionity is paying a lot of money to petrol stations to put in charge points, but those charge points are largely empty. I was literally looking at a charge point yesterday, Ionity one on the N7, and there was 5 fast charge points, and while I was sitting there drinking my cup of coffee in my diesel, there was no one. Absolutely no one came up and plugged into them. So I don't know what the future holds for the public charge points and how much money a petrol station can make out of having a charge point on the premises, whether it makes any sense for them to have it at all. Stephen Doherty loves to see dealers quoting all the government tax and car offers on diesel dealer websites as a percentage as well, and that same gas station government would be defending crippling tax. That's 80%, nearly 80% of a litre of diesel price goes to the government first. Think of that now, just 80%. Now you start looking at how much electricity gets paid to the government, how much petrol tax, all that stuff, it all goes in taxes out away from us. And not to do at home or anything else. It's crazy. Jason Stevens points out, Ionity is really expensive, 79 cents per kilowatt. It is, yeah. But yet they've built 4 of these things all standing beside each other and put them in there, and they're giving out cars. There must be money in it somewhere, otherwise they wouldn't do this. Like, it wouldn't make any sense. I'd actually like to see that, Stephen. The dealers explain that, break down the charges. Here's how much we're actually making from the car. Here's how much the government makes from cars. You know, that stuff would make sense. Then people would go, geez, you're being ripped off through taxes. But nobody wants to know. It's all stealth tax. Great word, isn't it? Andrew Palmer says, nuclear power products have leave material for thousands of years, detrimental to the planet. We don't know how to store it, and nuclear power keeps the weapons industry happy. Is that okay? Yeah, we still need power though, don't we? Like, scaling up to do what now? Like, on today, we have, on a windy day, we make about 60 to 70% of our power comes from renewable resources. On a day like today where there's absolutely no wind, where do we get it? Think about it and come back to me. It's imported from nuclear. It's imported from other countries through nuclear. One way or the other, we're nuclear powered. We just don't have our own power station. That's the only difference. Martin Brophy, if we get locked down again, will you be back to the toys and cars and review them? I'll do whatever it takes to make out content. I actually have probably enough content to go about 10 to 12 weeks without actually having another car. I have enough. There's enough content there as well, and that would also give me the time to make more of my documentaries, which you all seem to like. Everyone seems to talk about when they meet me and stuff. And I have to shout out to everybody in Portlaoise who's so lovely, looking for selfies and stuff. And I was out for a run today, and yesterday. It's really nice. It's deadly. The era of a distant selfie, standing two meters apart for a selfie, is weird, but it's good fun. It's lovely. You're very good. To anybody who's listening, of course. Steve McCormick says the Mazda MX-30 EV and the Opel Mokka EV look pretty nice for different reasons. The Mazda is lovely inside, but the Opel seems very light. Weight is a killer. Weight's the killer, boys. That's the biggest problem, is the weight of the cars, because like the suspension, the shock absorbers, the tires, they all get a little bit, mashed because of the weight. A 1.5 ton car to 2 ton car sitting on the shock. You can feel it as you drive along. When you come off a speed bump, you can feel that down the back, the weight of everything coming down top of you. Mark Howells Prescott, good afternoon, Bob. Great video on Honda E, thank you. What do you think the resale value will do in 3 years' time? No idea. We've no idea what's going to happen, because so right now it's at a high. Right now, a lot of people are looking for EVs. They want second-hand EVs, so the second-hand market is quite buoyant. But 3-4 years from now, when the market is settled and maybe there's less of a demand for EV, and the people who bought still have theirs, whether that's going to continue pushing and support the prices, hard to say. It's hard to say where the used car market is going to go with EVs, because we're granting them as well. If the grants go away, that changes the used car price. Early MG ZS EV owners who have been reviewing them has go through ownership on YouTube are interesting. One the other day, a guy had it up at the air looking for corrosion. Big gamble trying. That's the MG. Was there any corrosion? Intermittent wiper is part of that movie. Alright. Have you tested a Hyundai i30N? I have. There's a review on my channel. A full one. It's done. Stephen Doherty, sadly diesel engines emit more non-carbon emissions. Yeah, I know they do. Deadly particulates to fix needs expensive, complex filtering, and we know the car markers were gaming to test that the result are way worse. It's true. Still doing it. We're emitting nothing out the back of our thing, except for when you drive fast on a motorway. Then a lot of stuff comes out. But other than that, there's no emissions, and low speed doesn't happen. Jason Stevens, Ion is really expensive. Oh, I said that. Shocked that the i30N review went up in June 2018. I know it seems like yesterday, and yet it's over 2 years ago. Isn't that mental? The last 10 years, like my daughter's 12 the other day. Like, that's scary. She was a baby 2 weeks ago. Now she's a 12-year-old, and wants to go to Penny's to buy stuff. You look at her and go, oh my God, she was only a child, and it all goes by so quick. So if you're young, enjoy the moment, because I'm telling you, it goes by really quickly. And the less life you have left, the faster it goes by. Anyway, LPG Camille says LPG installations are very expensive for new cars, more affordable for older cars. Yeah, if we'd have kept going, we probably would have been better off with it. But we'll see what happens. Next 5-6 years is going to tell us an awful lot more stuff. There's a race to the end point, and the end point is very far away. And I know we have a responsibility to the planet, but our responsibility doesn't end there. And fixing your car into an electric is not fixing the planet. That's cleaning the air. You're going to clean the local air, but you're not going to fix the planet by buying a new thing or a new car. Shouldn't stop us, but it's not. We get very hung up on the idea that as if this is going to solve the whole world's problems by just having an electric car. It isn't. It's part of a solution. It's not the whole solution to it. Really reusing, recycling, and continuing using the thing you've got already is probably a better way to actually keep going. I know some people say no, electric cars are going to be better, but I think keeping the yoke you have for as long as you possibly can is probably the best way to get it. Now look, it's quarter past already. We've gone over time again. This is going to be a 3-hour thing eventually if we keep going. Fascinating to have you as always. A brilliant discussion today, as we do on every Sunday. I will be back as normal next Sunday, just no difference. We're all still locked down. Actually, we're not supposed to leave our county unless we're going for work, so I'll definitely be here next Sunday. Hopefully we won't be buried in among lockdown number 5, stuck in level 5 and stuff, but it'll be great. We'll make the best of it, whatever comes. Keep in touch, as always. Support the channel if you can. Subscribe is the absolutely totally free way. It costs you absolutely nothing at all, and actually forces YouTube to give me money, because that's the one I want money off of, but it's quite hard to extract it from a multinational, hugely wealthy company who just wants to copyright strike all of my old videos because they use music that they don't like anymore. It's been sold. So I spend all day trying to fix all the copyright strike things, but that's okay. I'll get through all that as well. But keep in touch with me over the next while. If you want to support the channel, there's multiple links down below on the comment section. You'll be able to see Noah down there, so you can click on a Noah link, which will get you 50% off their system, which is really good. You can go with opening a Coinbase account, which gets a tenner straight away into your account and my account and costs nothing at all. There is PayPal, Patreon, and then of course you've got channel memberships here as well. Any of those is brilliant, but at the very least, only do that if you can afford it. At the very least, subscribe button is the ones you need to work on the most. Thanks very much. Thank you very much for watching, and until the next time, I will see you on the far side.